Chapter 1280. Even the Yin-Yang elders had coughed up blood from the shockwaves from the explosion of several hundred high-grade talismans. From this, one could see just how powerful and terrifying those talismans were. Lin Feng had also been hit, but he was relatively far away, and his physical body was just too strong, so his injuries weren't too serious. However, the others weren't in the best situation. Apart from Lord Saber and Elder Gu A, who were in relatively good condition, Wu Mu and Nailin Jirua had already been injured. As for Yu Liushi, she had also been injured by the shockwaves from the explosion. Her face was extremely pale. Disaster is upon us. Let's split up and run. Old Ghost let out a strange laugh as he chose a path to the left and charged into it. Lin Feng also chose a passage and quickly rushed over. He wanted to find a way out, but he discovered that many of the crisscrossing passages had collapsed due to the explosion of the talismans. Many of the possible exits had also been blocked. 7 or 8 huge void god-eater bugs were chasing after him, so Lin Feng had no choice but to quickly flee to another place. Wang Xiaonan, you win. Next time I see you, I'll definitely torture you 100 times. 100 times. You won't be able to get off the ground. Lin Feng couldn't help but think viciously. He shuttled back and forth through the crisscrossing passages, but he couldn't shake off the void god-eater bugs chasing after him, nor could he find a way out. This caused Lin Feng's expression to become increasingly gloomy. Help! When he passed by a fork in the road, Lin Feng saw Nailin Jirua. The void god-eater bugs were about to catch up to this icy woman. She was already injured, and now her injuries were even more serious. With her icy personality, she really wouldn't ask for help unless she had no other choice. Swish! The void god-eater bug chasing after her waved its huge claws, and a wave of void energy swept out. Bang! Immediately after, that wave of void energy slammed into Nailin Jirua's back. It directly sent Nailin Jirua flying several hundred meters. Nailin Jirua crashed heavily onto the ground and rolled 4 or 5 meters away. She didn't move at all. Was she dead or alive? Lin Feng rushed over and found that Nailin Jirua was still breathing. He hugged Nailin Jirua's small waist and held her in his arms. Then, he quickly ran into the distance. Lin Feng ran all the way and ran through a dozen or so tunnels, but all the exits were blocked. In the end, he returned empty-handed. As Lin Feng passed by an intersection of tunnels, he saw Yu Liushi running over from the left. Currently, Yu Liushi's complexion was extremely pale. Clearly, like Lin Feng, she was unable to find a way to escape. There's no way out. That bitch Wang Xiaonan won't give us a way out. Yu Liushi's pretty face was ashen. The two of them gathered together and ran forward. The void god-eater bugs behind them also gathered together. More than 30 void god-eater bugs chased after them. Lin Feng asked, "What about the others? Did you see that?" Yu Liushi shook her head. Who knows where they ran off to? Maybe they've already been eaten by these monsters. Yu Liushi then said mockingly, "Wasn't that bitch intimate with you? What? Now she's even plotting against you, her lover?" Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes and say, "Since when did I become intimate with her? Even I was bewitched by Wang Xiaonan. Although I never thought that she was such a simple person, I never thought that she would scheme against all of us. I have to admit that this woman is very powerful. Being able to scheme against us is also a kind of skill." Yu Liushi fell silent and didn't say anything else. She was so angry that she was about to explode and wanted nothing more than to strangle Wang Xiaonan to death. However, Yu Liushi had no choice but to admit that she had been tricked by Wang Xiaonan. The two of them looked through a few more tunnels that they had never been through before, but they still couldn't find a way out. "I can't hold on much longer. I think you're about to reach your limit too, right? Let's just leave this woman behind," Yu Liushi said. She was naturally referring to Nailin Jirua. However, Lin Feng didn't leave her behind. Instead, he chose a passageway that led deeper and deeper into the city. "You're already facing a disaster, yet you still want to bring along a burden? Should I say that you have tender feelings for the fairer sex? Or should I say that you're lustful?" Yu Liushi looked at Lin Feng mockingly. Lin Feng said, "If it were you, I would save her too." Eating from the bowl while looking at the pot? Yu Liushi pursed her lips. Lin Feng said, because for now, we're still companions who are training together. I'm not someone who abandons my companions. Yoshi's eyes rippled violently. She opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. In the world of cultivators, she had seen far too many people who could abandon family, love, and friendship for their own benefits. However, this was the first time she had seen someone like Lin Feng. Companions sometimes scheme against you, Yoshi said. That year, I joined an academy to cultivate. Everyone in my family was very happy. My uncle told me that when you're outside, there are many times when you have to choose to trust your companions, because sometimes they can save your life. Lin Feng said, your uncle wasn't completely right, but he wasn't completely wrong either. Some companions can be trusted, while others need to be guarded against. Yoshi said. Lin Feng said, that's why my uncle told me to make my own judgment about which companions I should trust and which I shouldn't. I feel that although Nailin Jirua is ice cold, she's a pretty good person. It seems that you've taken your uncle's words as your life's creed. Is your uncle a very powerful person? Where is he? Could it be that he's also a famous expert? Yoshi asked curiously. He's a very ordinary person, but he's also a great person. He was killed while trying to save me. Lin Feng's voice was low. I'm sorry for bringing up such a sad matter. Don't worry about it. Hey, this is the direction to the depths of the cave. Do you want to die? At that moment, Yoshi, who had been following Lin Feng, realized that something was wrong. Lin Feng wasn't running outside. He was running deeper into the cave. We're about to run out of fuel. Let's see if there's a way out in the depths that can save our lives, he said aloud. The dozens of void god-eater bugs were getting closer and closer. Lin Feng and Yoshi ran deeper into the cave. Their bodies were gradually becoming weaker, and the bugs were about to catch up. I can't hold on any longer. Yoshi's face was pale. The void god-eating bugs were only less than 20 meters away from them. Lin Feng had also reached his limit. There's a narrow cave up ahead. Let's hide in there. Lin Feng pointed ahead. The cave was very special. There was a powerful seal protecting the entire mountain, so the mountain was exceptionally sturdy. It was too difficult to shatter the mountain, unless one was like Wang Xiaonan and used hundreds of high-grade jade talismans to blast the mountain apart. Therefore, if they hid in the cave, it would be difficult for the void god-eater bugs to break into the cave. Screech. The bug at the front seemed to know what Lin Feng and Yoshi were planning, and it couldn't help but let out a piercing shriek. Then, it jumped up and clawed at Lin Feng and Yoshi. Oh no, we're dead. Yoshi's face was pale. Spatial bending. Lin Feng held Nailin Jirua in his right hand and Yoshi in his left. He used up the last of his spiritual energy to use spatial bending. His body turned into a blur as he charged into the cave. The bug's claws tore through Lin Feng's skin, and blood flowed out. If he had been a step slower, his body would have been torn in half by the bug's sharp claws. Lin Feng had narrowly avoided this life-or-death situation. After that, he hugged Lu Shi and Nailin Jirua and rushed into the small and narrow cave. After entering the cave, he almost lost all his strength and laid on the ground. He felt a burning pain on his back, but he rejoiced incomparably in his heart as he had dodged in advance. If he had been a step slower, he might have been an ice-cold corpse by now. Chapter 1281. Screech. The furious roars of the void god-eater bugs came from outside. The one that had attacked Lin Feng earlier was blocking the cave entrance, its sharp claws reaching into the cave, but it couldn't touch Lin Feng, Yoshi, or Nailin Jirua. Asterisk bang bang bang. Asterisk next, the void god-eater bug attacked the cave again and again, trying to break out of it, but it failed every time. Although the cave was shaking, it was incomparably sturdy. The void god-eater bug couldn't break out in a short amount of time. The other void god-eater bugs left, leaving only one behind to block the exit. It seemed to be fighting Lin Feng's group of 3. Lin Feng lay on the ground, gasping for breath. On his right was the unconscious Nailin Jirua, and on his left was Yoshi. Sniffing lightly, he could even smell the alluring body fragrance coming from Nailin Jirua and Yoshi. These two beauties were lying on Lin Feng's left and right, but Lin Feng didn't have any strange thoughts. He only had one feeling right now. He was tired. Both his body and mind had reached their limits in this continuous escape, causing Lin Feng to feel incomparably exhausted. Yuliyoshi was obviously the same. The two of them quickly closed their eyes and fell asleep. Sleep was the best way to rest. When they woke up, the cave was pitch black. Lin Feng could feel Yuliyoshi completely close to his chest, and he could even feel the heat of this beautiful woman's alluring body. Nailan Jirua's aura was much stronger than before. Yuliyoshi's long eyelashes fluttered, as if she was a little embarrassed from sleeping in Lin Feng's arms for so long. Her pretty face reddened slightly. She sat up and looked outside, her expression becoming very unsightly. The void god-eater bugs are still blocking the way. It seems they don't plan on letting us leave. Lin Feng nodded solemnly. For the time being, he couldn't think of a way to leave. Do you think we'll die here? Yuliyoshi asked. No. Lin Feng said. Why are you so confident? Yuliyoshi asked. How can a mere void god-eater bug trap me to death? We'll definitely be able to find a way out. Lin Feng stroked his chin. Yuliyoshi smiled bitterly. She didn't know where Lin Feng found such courage at this time. Lin Feng leaned against the rock wall, thinking of a way to deal with it. Yuliyoshi sat beside Lin Feng. In the darkness, the two of them could even hear each other's breathing and heartbeat. Who are you? Yuliyoshi asked. Why do you ask? Lin Feng said indifferently. Because I feel that the situation is different now. We can ask and treat it as chatting. Yuliyoshi said. It was obvious that Yuliyoshi felt that the chances of escaping were not very high, so she could ask about some topics that were more taboo in the past. Before long, they had dug through the underground river. Let's go down and take a look, Lin Feng said as he took the lead and jumped down, diving into the river. Yuliyoshi and Nailan Jirua jumped in as well. The underground river was very deep, and the water flowed rapidly. Lin Feng and the others swam in the direction of the current. Normally, if one followed the direction of the current, the underground river would eventually rush out of the ground, and it was very likely to connect to the rivers, lakes, and so on outside. After an hour, Lin Feng and the two others arrived at a gigantic stone palace. Their eyes widened. There was actually a hall under the underground river. This was really too shocking. They swam towards the stone hall, but when they arrived, their eyes were filled with incomparable terror. Within the stone hall, there was a huge, grayish-brown creature. Its huge body was coiled together, and its entire body was covered in scales. At this moment, it was sleeping on the ground. It was actually a terrifying flood dragon. The three of them hurriedly swam into the distance, afraid that they would disturb the flood dragon. Swish, swish. But at this moment, the flood dragon opened its cold eyes. An ancient and terrifying aura was emitted from the flood dragon's body. These jade talismans were all magic talismans that he had drawn himself. Although their grades weren't as high as the magic talismans Wang Xiaonan had used back then, there were still quite a few heaven-grade magic talismans. Moreover, there were so many of them that once they exploded, the power would still be very strong. Coupled with the explosion of the Dao artifact, the energy generated would be even more powerful. Yuliyoshi and Nailan Jirua also had many treasures on them. They also took out some magic talismans. Yuliyoshi and Nailan Jirua clearly had extraordinary backgrounds. Among the magic talismans they took out, there was a Saint-grade magic talisman. Saint-grade magic talismans were naturally even more powerful and terrifying. Apart from the magic talismans, the two of them also took out a dozen Dao artifacts. They were probably treasures they had obtained during their training. Boom! All the magic talismans and Dao artifacts exploded. With so much energy, the destructive power generated by the explosion of the magic talismans was unimaginable. The entire subterranean river shook, and many parts of the river even began to collapse. Roar! But at this moment, the flood dragon's furious roar came from the center of the explosion. The flood dragon charged out from the center of the explosion. What was even more unbelievable was that the flood dragon had not been injured at all. How could this be? Lin Feng, Yuliyoshi, and Nailan Jirua were all shocked. Just now, so many magic talismans and Dao artifacts had exploded together. The Yin-Yang elders were existences close to gods. They could have been killed by the explosion. But the flood dragon was completely fine. Just how powerful was its cultivation to be able to accomplish this? This was simply unheard of. However, although the exploding magic talismans and Tao artifacts had not been able to injure the flood dragon, it had been thoroughly enraged. After charging out from the center of the explosion, the flood dragon's enormous claws suddenly slammed into the water. Next, a flood dragon condensed from the water of the subterranean river instantly charged towards Lin Feng, Ulyoshi, and Nalan Jirua. Bang! The flood dragon condensed from the water of the subterranean river slammed into Lin Feng and the others. The three of them were sent flying, falling to the bottom of the subterranean river. Their faces grew increasingly pale, and they couldn't help but cough up blood. The flood dragon quickly swam over. But at this moment, an even faster figure charged towards Lin Feng, Ulyoshi, and Nalan Jirua from the left branch of the subterranean river. The creature was much smaller than the flood dragon. It was about 500 meters long. Its head was like a frog, and its body was like a skinless crocodile. It was more than 10 meters long. Heavens, it's an overlord salamander. When they saw this creature, Lin Feng and the others revealed astonished expressions. The overlord salamander's origins were simply too great. It was said that at the beginning of the world, the overlord salamander was one of the first divine beasts to be born. This was a terrifying creature that had appeared at the same time as the true dragon, phoenix, Qilin, white tiger, and other divine beasts. Countless years had passed since then. There were no longer any overlord salamanders in the outside world. Many people thought that this ancient race of divine beasts had already gone extinct. Who would have thought that an overlord salamander would appear here? The overlord salamander opened its bloody mouth and charged towards Lin Feng and the others. This completely enraged the flood dragon. The flood dragon's roar shook the heavens, and it spat out a ball of energy that was several hundred meters wide, smashing towards the overlord salamander. The ball of energy directly sent the overlord salamander flying. The overlord salamander's scales exploded, dripping with blood. After being injured, the overlord salamander went completely berserk. It didn't even care about Lin Feng and the others. Instead, it charged towards the flood dragon. As one of the first divine beasts in the world, the overlord salamander was naturally extremely terrifying. Its huge head directly slammed into the flood dragon's body, sending it flying. The flood dragon's scales fell off in large amounts, and its blood instantly flowed out. The overlord salamander opened its mouth and bit at the flood dragon's neck, wanting to bite it to death. However, the flood dragon's strength was unfathomable, and its reaction was extremely fast. Its thick tail lashed out, and the flood dragon directly sent the overlord salamander flying. The two behemoths fought fiercely, causing the entire underground river to shake and the ground to cave in. Lin Feng, Ulyoshi, and Nalan Jirua hurriedly fled while the flood dragon and the overlord salamander were fighting to the death. Author's note: I'm going to take the first test. The updates will be in the afternoon and evening. I hope I can pass. I hope you can vote for me next month. Chapter 1283. In the forest, there were steep mountains, and a waterfall fell from the sky. Below it was a huge pool, and the waterfall fell into the pool. Three heads popped out of the pool, and they were Lin Feng, Ulyoshi, and Nalan Jirua. The three of them had successfully come out of the underground river, and it could be said that they had experienced many dangers and narrowly escaped death. After reaching the shore, the three of them couldn't help but lie down on the cobblestone shore and gasp for breath. It's good to be alive. Lin Feng took a deep breath. At this moment, he turned to look at Ulyoshi and Nalan Jirua. The two of them were completely drenched, and their thin clothes couldn't hide the boundless beauty of their beautiful bodies. Their exquisite bodies were now completely exposed to Lin Feng. Sensing Lin Feng's gradually burning gaze, the two of them looked down and immediately screamed. They hurriedly covered their important parts with their hands, and their faces were pink. They couldn't help but spit at Lin Feng, then turned and ran behind a nearby tree to change their clothes. By the time they finished changing and came out, Lin Feng had already disappeared. Where did he go? Nalan Jirua frowned slightly. He should have left. Yuliyoshi said. She couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. Even she didn't know why she felt this way. Nailin Jiruo nodded. She didn't continue to stay here, nor did she have any plans to stay with Yuliyoshi. She chose a direction and flew off into the distance. In a cave 10 kilometers away, Lin Feng took out the broken coffin. He walked around it a few times, but he couldn't see what was so special about it. However, since the demon lord said that it was a supreme treasure, he definitely wouldn't speak without thinking. Lin Feng said, "Demon lord, what kind of treasure is this coffin? It seems to have decayed a little." The demon lord said, 3 lives, 3 worlds, just to protect you by your side. There's a poignant love story here. Lin Feng stroked his chin and asked, "What story?" Rumor has it that countless years ago, gods and demons were at odds with each other. A goddess from the gods and demons fell in love with each other, but the two races couldn't tolerate it. That was how the tragedy began. The demon lord told Lin Feng the story of the legend. They wanted to leave, but the god and demon races were chasing after them. After a series of bloody battles, they were trapped. In order to save her lover, the goddess used a dagger to pierce her own heart. Only then did the god and demon races stop chasing after them. The love between the gods and the demons ended. The demon monarch was deeply in love, and he searched the entire world. In the legendary netherworld, he found an ancient tree in front of the 3 live stone. According to legends, it was the tree of reincarnation. He used it to make a coffin and preserve the corpse. After 3 lives and 3 lives, the dead would return to life. Isn't this too ridiculous? Lin Feng was in disbelief. The demon lord's words sounded like a story to him. The demon lord said, "There are many rumors. If you believe them, they're true. If you don't, they're false. I'm not sure if you'll be able to return to life after 3 lives and 3 lives. But there's one thing I'm sure of. The 3 lives coffin can preserve a corpse and never decay. Even if a living dead person is placed inside, they won't die. Everything will be frozen in the moment they're placed inside, and even after millions and millions of years, they'll still be able to live on until the day they wake up." Lin Feng gasped. "There's actually such a coffin in this world? That's too unbelievable. If I were to sleep inside, would I be able to pass through millions and millions of years and become immortal? Would I be able to wake up after millions and millions of years?" The demon lord said, "Perhaps it's possible. In the past, even the ancient emperors were looking for the 3 lives coffin in hopes of burying themselves inside and waking up in the future." Lin Feng's heart trembled. If what the demon lord said was true, then the 3 lives coffin was too shocking. Lin Feng put the coffin away. Although he had no use for it now, he might need it in the future. He then sat down cross-legged to heal his injuries and adjust his state of mind. 6 hours later, Lin Feng had completely recovered. He continued walking towards the depths of the demon-sealed land. Lin Feng's main goal in coming here was to find the origin Dao fruit for the fire Qilin. Unfortunately, he hadn't been able to find anything in the demon-sealed land. "Demon Lord, where do you think the origin Dao fruit might appear?" Lin Feng asked. The demon lord sat on a lonely grave in a daze, just like he always did. He often sat on a lonely grave, trying to recall his lost memories. It's hard to say, but if such a treasure really exists, then it's most likely in the depths of the demon-sealed land. The higher the grade of a spirit herb, the more instinctive it is to avoid danger. The demon lord explained. That night, Lin Feng was leaning against a big tree and had a rest. Suddenly, he sensed an extremely cold qi permeating the atmosphere of the forest. Lin Feng woke up with a start. He restrained his aura and cautiously looked around. That night wasn't peaceful. Many cultivators had died tragically in the forest. Their flesh and blood had been sucked dry, leaving behind only human skin. The next day, Lin Feng felt his scalp go numb when he saw those human skins. "What is this thing?" Lin Feng's voice was grave. It was too terrifying, and it made his hair stand on end. "I'm afraid something has happened in the demon-sealed land." The demon lord sat on a lonely grave and said, "Something has happened? Could it be related to the 9 demons painting?" He thought of a possibility. The 9 demons painting has appeared and broken the restrictions. It will cause some terrible things, the demon lord muttered. At noon, the 9 demons painting appeared again. It flew in the depths of the demon-sealed land, emitting a boundless demonic aura. Countless people looked at the 9 demons painting excitedly. Even if it was divided into 9 parts, it was still comparable to a great emperor's weapon. If they could obtain the first 9 demons painting, they could rely on the connection between the 9 demons paintings to obtain more of them. If they could gather all of the 9 demons paintings, it would be heaven-defying. It was the second-ranked great emperor's weapon. 3 days later, Lin Feng arrived at a swamp. If he wanted to go deeper, he would have to pass through the swamp. Many cultivators were waiting outside. They didn't enter the swamp rashly because it was too dangerous. Not only was there a poisonous miasma in the swamp, but there were also terrifying vicious beasts hiding in the depths of the swamp. This made many people feel apprehensive. In the end, about 1,000 cultivators gathered. They planned to set off together and pass through the swamp. However, they hadn't set off yet. They were waiting for a few important people. There will be experts from the Geomasters and a princess from the Great Shang Empire, someone said. The people who were coming were not simple. Chapter 1284. An expert from the Yin Yang sect has also arrived. It's Duanmu Jin. The crown prince of the Great Qin Empire, Ing Dongfang, is also coming. Another cultivator said. Many people were waiting for them. The 4 people who were about to arrive had extraordinary statuses. Although they had only cultivated for 1,000 years, they had all broken through to the rebirth realm. They could be considered outstanding representatives of the middle generation. Lin Feng stood in the distance. He didn't show off. Now, Lin Feng had turned into a scholarly cultivator. His transformation technique was very wondrous. No one could see any clues. In the distance, immortal light lingered. More than 10 figures flew over and landed. The leader was a woman wearing a white palace dress. Her face was covered, so no one could see what she looked like. However, her figure was graceful and moving. It was obvious that she was a top-grade beauty. The Great Shang Empire's first Princess Qiananji. A cultivator immediately cried out. Princess Qiananji could be called a goddess in the central continent. She was one of the 10 great beauties of the central continent. Moreover, she was the first princess of the Great Shang Empire. Who knew how many suitors she had? However, Qiananji had never had any scandals with any man. She had always kept herself clean. It was rumored that in the past, several heirs of top ancient families had proposed marriage to the Great Shang Empire. However, they had all been rejected by her. Qiananji had once said that only a man who ruled the world had the right to marry her. The Tianhua continent was divided. How could anyone rule the world? Therefore, Qiananji meant that she wouldn't marry anyone. There were also rumors that she didn't want to marry because she wanted to become an empress. One had to know that if Qiananji married, she would lose her status as the first princess. There was a saying that a married woman was like spilled water. This was what it meant. However, if Qiananji didn't marry, she would still be the first princess of the Great Shang Empire. She had the right to inherit the throne like the other princes and princesses. However, as a woman, although she had the right to inherit the throne, it was clearly much more difficult for her to become the first princess than her brothers. Qiananji's only advantage was that her brothers didn't live up to expectations. Not a single one of them was successful. They were even inferior to some of the prince's children. Therefore, Enji still had a chance. Not long after Gananji's group arrived, the second wave of cultivators arrived. There were about 20 of them, and they were led by a cultivator who looked to be around 30 years old. Geomaster lineage. Xuemuyang. Many people were shocked. Clearly, they didn't expect the expert of the Geomaster faction to be this person. This Xuemuyang had cultivated for 1,400 years and had broken through to the rebirth realm for more than 100 years. In addition, he was the successor of the Geomaster faction. His methods were heaven-defying, and he was highly regarded by the ancestors of the Geomaster faction. In the future, he might be able to wield great authority in the Geomaster faction. After Xuemuyang arrived, the cultivators from the Yin Yang sect and the Great Qin Empire also arrived. Duanmu Jin's status in the Yin Yang cult was frighteningly high. His ancestor was one of the Yin Yang 3 elders. As for Duanmu Jin, he had only cultivated for 1,100 years and was also at the rebirth realm. The crown prince of the Great Qin Empire, Ing Dongfeng, was the nephew of the human emperor of the Great Qin Empire. His status was honorable. Experts from all directions arrived. These people all knew each other and greeted each other. Then, more than 1,000 people entered the swamp. With so many experts gathered together, they created quite a commotion. Ordinary beasts wouldn't dare to come out. Thus, the journey was more daunting than dangerous. 3 days later, the group passed through a mountain forest in the swamp. The miasma in the forest was extremely dense. As they flew through the forest, they could hear miserable cries from time to time. Following this, cultivators fell from the sky one after another. The miasma here is strange. It's undead miasma. There must be corroding corpses down there. Let's leave this place quickly, Lin Feng said in a low voice. Oh, undead miasma? After hearing Lin Feng's words, Ji looked at Lin Feng in surprise and said, such a powerful undead miasma. Does that mean that the corpses down there are very powerful? Lin Feng frowned slightly. He guessed that Ji wanted to dig up the corpses down there, but that wasn't what Lin Feng wanted to see. He just wanted to leave this place and find the origin Dao fruit as soon as possible. Kid, I'm asking you a question. Didn't you hear me? Xuemuyang looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, only rotting corpses produce poisonous undead miasma. So what if it's powerful? It's worthless. Xuemuyang said, of course it'll be useful if we dig it up. Who knows, we might even obtain some shocking inheritances. Go down and dig. Many cultivators shouted excitedly. Even the cultivators from the 4 great powers were participating. Lin Feng said coldly, it's easy for strange things to happen in a place like this. I advise everyone to stop before something terrible happens. If you're not going to dig, then get lost. Don't get in the way of others. Xuemuyang said coldly. You. Lin Feng's expression turned gloomy. He wanted to retort, but a middle-aged cultivator pulled him back. Little brother, calm down. There's no need to argue with Xuemuyang. We can't afford to offend someone like him. The middle-aged cultivator said. Lin Feng nodded gloomily. He felt that this swamp was not simple, which was why he had come with so many cultivators. Now was not the time to fall out with Xuemuyang. Lin Feng flew into the distance. He flew more than 1,000 meters away and watched from afar. Dad, should we go dig as well? A young cultivator looked at the middle-aged man. That's right, uncle. If we don't dig now, all the good stuff will be taken away by others. Another young cultivator chimed in. This group of more than 10 people came from a small clan. The middle-aged cultivator was at the 8th heavenly layer of the creation realm. He wasn't particularly strong. These people had taken the risk to come here because they wanted to find an extremely important spirit herb. The ancestor of their clan had been poisoned by fire and needed that spirit herb to save his life. We're only here to find the ice god grass. We won't fight for the other treasures. The middle-aged cultivator said. All right. Although the young cultivators were unwilling, they could only nod. They didn't dare to go against the middle-aged man's words. They flew to Lin Feng's side and introduced themselves. Lin Feng knew that the middle-aged cultivator was called Wu Yong. Lin Feng introduced himself as Lin Qing. I found a corpse with a storage ring. There's a storage ring. I found one too. There are so many corpses with storage rings. Many people shouted in surprise. They stretched out their hands and tried to take the storage rings off the rotten corpses. But at that moment, the corpses that had been dead for an unknown number of years opened their eyes at the same time. Pooh, pooh. The corpses stretched out their sharp claws and instantly pierced the chests of many cultivators. Many people screamed miserably. They saw the corpses dig out their hearts. How can this be? Many cultivators cried out in disbelief. Then, they breathed their last and died on the spot. Chapter 1285. It's a zombie. All the corpses here have turned into zombies. Hurry up and leave. Many cultivators cried out in fear and quickly fled into the distance. Fortunately, we didn't dig up those corpses. The cultivators beside Wu Yong all had expressions of joy on their faces. Now, they all felt that Lin Feng was not a simple person. Previously, it was Lin Feng who reminded everyone not to dig up those corpses because Lin Feng was worried that there might be an uncontrollable danger. Now, Such a thing had really happened. Zombie. It was formed by the evil thoughts of a corpse that awakened after its death. The zombie was invulnerable, and its entire body was covered in poison. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Feng and the others took the lead and flew into the distance. The rest of the cultivators also hurriedly fled into the distance. If there were only a few or a dozen zombies here, everyone would be able to deal with them. However, there were simply too many zombies here. There were probably hundreds of them. Lin Feng had seen zombies before, but at most, he had only seen one. When had he ever seen such a situation? With hundreds of zombies, anyone who was trapped by these zombies would only die. Many cultivators were killed in the process of escaping. In the end, more than 200 people died before everyone managed to escape the pursuit of the zombies. "Bring that brat over here," Xuemuyang said in a deep voice. "Come with us," Xuemuyang's guards said coldly as they came to Lin Feng. Lin Feng frowned, but he did not say anything and followed the guards to Xuemuyang. "Brat, since you know that there is undead miasma and that digging up the corpses there might be danger, do you also know that there might be zombies down there? Didn't you say that you deliberately tricked us?" Xuemuyang stretched out his hand and pointed at Lin Feng's head. However, Lin Feng dodged. "You still dare to dodge? Do you believe that I won't slap you?" Xuemuyang looked at Lin Feng indifferently. He was a high and mighty figure to begin with, so he naturally did not put Lin Feng, a cultivator in his 20s, in his eyes. Xuemuyang raised his right hand, wanting to slap Lin Feng. At this moment, Rananji said, "Wait." Xuemuyang looked at Princess Anji and frowned slightly. "Princess Anji, why are you stopping me from teaching this brat a lesson?" Xianji replied, "We can't blame him for this. He warned us that there might be danger below, but we were too confident and didn't listen to him. Let him go." Xuemuyang's expression didn't look good. He was a conceited person and didn't want to admit his mistakes. He wanted to push all the blame onto Lin Feng. However, Xianji had taken responsibility for the previous mistake. Xuemuyang couldn't refute Xianji. He was incomparably fearful of Xianji. He also knew that he could only befriend Xianji and not make enemies. He nodded, then looked at Lin Feng and said, "Princess Anji is pleading for you, so you can leave now." Lin Feng gave Xuemuyang a deep look before turning around and leaving. "Young hero Lin, are you all right?" Wu Yong asked worriedly as he looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng shook his head and said, "I'm fine." Wu Yong said, "Many times, doing the right thing won't necessarily earn you the gratitude of others. That's why doing nothing is the best way to protect yourself." "Thank you for your advice." Lin Feng cupped his fists. Wu Yong said, "Just some experience in dealing with people. You're still young and have a long way to go. You're also quite talented, so you'll definitely be able to stand out in the future. There's no need to get into conflict with those people." Lin Feng nodded and didn't say anything else. The group continued on their journey. The swamp was too dangerous, and the next day, the group encountered another terrifying danger. Blood-red centipedes that were nearly 100 meters long crawled out of the swamp. These blood-red centipedes had wings, and when they flapped their wings, they were as fast as lightning and charged towards the group of cultivators. "It's the flying blood centipedes." Many people cried out in fear when they saw the blood-red centipedes and fled into the distance. Chi, chi. However, there were too many flying blood centipedes, and many cultivators had their bodies torn apart by the centipedes. They died horribly. Everyone frantically fled into the distance. People were constantly being killed. The crowd was also scattered. Many people died at the hands of the flying blood centipedes. In the end, only about 400 people managed to escape from the flying blood centipedes. They were lucky enough to escape with their lives. "We're almost out." Someone pointed into the distance. There were continuous mountains and lush greenery, and it was completely different from the muddy swamp. Everyone's spirits were lifted, and they sped up as they rushed out of the swamp. However, at that moment, an endless black fog rolled above the swamp. The black fog condensed into a huge head. In the end, the head turned into an extremely ugly human face. "Lowly ants, none of you will be able to escape. Play a game with me," the ugly face said in a sinister voice. "What's that?" Many people cried out in horror. Their faces were filled with horror. In the next moment, The ugly face swallowed everyone in one gulp. Lin Feng felt his vision blur, and he was no longer in the swamp. Instead, he found himself in a space covered in gray fog. Is this an independent spatial barrier formed by the laws of space? Lin Feng was shocked. He guessed that everyone had been sucked into this independent space by that mysterious existence. The spatial node of this independent space must be connected to the swamp world. This place of sealed demons is too strange. There's actually an independent space here. It's said that a god's body can form a space. Could it be that after the god died, the space within his body wasn't destroyed and was scattered between heaven and earth? Could it have been connected to the swamp by chance? Lin Feng couldn't help but wonder. But who's the owner of that ugly face? Lin Feng's expression turned grave. The owner of that ugly face was definitely not simple. Demon Lord, what do you think? Lin Feng transmitted his voice to the Demon Lord, but he didn't get a response from the Demon Lord. His expression changed slightly. This space was very strange. It had actually severed his connection with the Demon Lord. Lin Feng took a deep breath and carefully walked towards the depths of the space. Crack, crack. Suddenly, Lin Feng heard a clear and melodious voice. He looked down and found that he had broken a few bones. Someone came here before and died here, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng frowned. Miserable screams came from up ahead. He quickly ran over and found that a dozen skeletons had surrounded 3 cultivators. Their sharp bone blades had pierced through the 3 cultivators' chests, killing them. The green flames in the skeletons' eye sockets flickered violently. The skeletons opened their mouths and inhaled. Clouds of grayish-brown gas escaped from the dead cultivators' heads. That was the soul energy of the dead cultivators, which had been absorbed by the skeletons. Chapter 1286. Crack, crack. The skeletons turned their heads and looked in Lin Feng's direction. They found me. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly, and he turned around and ran away. The skeletons chased closely behind him. They were extremely terrifying, and they were extremely fast. Even with Lin Feng's astonishing speed, he couldn't shake them off in a short amount of time. After more than 2 hours, he finally got rid of the group of skeletal creatures. Lin Feng sat on a smooth rock to rest. This space is too strange. I wonder how the others are doing. I can't contact the Demon Lord, and I don't know how to get out. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Woo! Suddenly, the sound of weeping drifted over from afar in the breeze. Lin Feng frowned. Why was there weeping? What was this weeping? Who was it? He carefully walked in the direction of the weeping. More than 10 cultivators appeared in front of him, and they were walking together. Like Lin Feng, they had probably heard the weeping and were walking in the direction of the weeping. Lin Feng didn't disturb them, and he followed behind them. Finally, they came to the side of a lake. More than 10 corpses of cultivators were lying next to the lake. A woman was crying softly with her back facing everyone. Her voice was very sorrowful, and her shoulders were slightly trembling. She didn't know who had died, but she was crying as if her liver and intestines had been cut into pieces. From the back, the woman's figure was very hot, and one could even see her towering peaks from the side. Any man who saw those alluring curves would probably be tempted. Let's go and take a look, the cultivators said as they walked towards the woman. Fairy, is there anything we can help you with? One of the cultivators asked. The woman suddenly stopped crying. At that moment, Lin Feng saw a terrifying scene. One by one, the cultivators fell to the ground. Then, a gray gas floated out of their minds. It was the soul power of the cultivators. A female ghost? Lin Feng was horrified. This space was too strange. There were zombie demons, skeletal creatures, and female ghosts. The creatures here seemed to have a special liking for souls. They were all devouring soul power. Lin Feng didn't dare to stay, and quickly flew off into the distance. However, at this moment, he felt a chill run down his spine. It was as if some terrifying creature had chased after him. Lin Feng even felt that the terrifying creature was right beside him. If he turned his head, he would be able to see her. Female ghost. Lin Feng was horrified. He felt as if his consciousness was about to fall into an endless darkness. His legs went soft, and he almost fell to the ground like the other cultivators by the lake. Get away from me. Lin Feng fiercely bit his own tongue. His tongue was bleeding. The pain made Lin Feng feel a lot more awake. Then, Lin Feng took out the Sarira and Bodhi seed. He held the Sarira in his left hand and the Bodhi bead in his right. The two magic treasures released a Buddhist light that protected Lin Feng. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt that the cold aura that enveloped his body was dissipating bit by bit. Did I leave? Lin Feng let out a long breath, but he didn't dare to turn his head. He ran for more than 10 miles before sitting on the ground, panting violently. This place was too dangerous. The slightest carelessness could cost him his life. Big Brother Lin, run. There's a soul catcher. More than 10 cultivators flew over. One of them saw Lin Feng and shouted loudly. That cultivator was Uncle Wu Yong's nephew, Wu Jiong. Lin Feng didn't know the people beside Wu Jiong. Wu Jiong should have been separated from Uncle Wu Yong and the others and formed a temporary team with those cultivators. Lin Feng got up from the ground and didn't dare to stay for a moment. He quickly ran into the distance. He had heard of soul catchers before. They were extremely terrifying creatures that specialized in absorbing the souls of living beings. Previously, whether it was the zombie, the skeletal creature, or the mysterious female ghost, they all needed to kill a person first before devouring their soul. But soul catchers were different. Soul catchers could devour the souls of living beings. In the sky, black-robed existences flew over. They were so fast that they quickly caught up with everyone. Ah! Screams rang out one after another. More than 10 cultivators' souls were instantly devoured by the soul catchers. Wu Jiong also died, tragically under the attacks of the soul catchers. Lin Feng's situation wasn't any better. More than 10 soul catchers surrounded Lin Feng, trying to absorb Lin Feng's soul. Primal Chaos Ancient Lamp suppresses the soul. Lin Feng's soul hid in the Primal Chaos Ancient Lamp, temporarily blocking the attacks of the soul catchers. But these soul catchers were too terrifying. The remaining 20 or so soul catchers also flew over and tried to absorb Lin Feng's soul together. After being attacked by more than 30 soul catchers, Lin Feng couldn't hold on any longer. He felt like his soul was about to split open. The soul hidden in the Primal Chaos Ancient Lamp would be forcefully sucked out by the soul catchers at any time. At this critical moment, a cold aura suddenly spread between heaven and earth. In the distance, the flesh and blood of the corpses instantly disappeared and turned into human skins. Screech! The soul catchers let out terrified cries and ran away as fast as lightning. They didn't even care about Lin Feng and ran away madly. It's exactly the same as what happened in the forest. The corpses have turned into human skins. Lin Feng felt his scalp go numb. He turned around and ran, but he vaguely felt that something was following him. This made Lin Feng's expression extremely ugly. Could it be that the strange thing that turned the corpses into human skins was following him? Did that thing also want to devour him? Lin Feng's face was as pale as paper. He pushed his speed to the limit and ran for 3 days and 3 nights. On the way, Lin Feng encountered some soul catchers, but they quickly ran away when they saw him. Why did the soul catchers that wanted to devour my soul run away when they saw me? Lin Feng didn't understand. Could it be? He thought of a certain possibility and felt his scalp go numb. Was it that thing? Was it still there? Was it right next to him? Lin Feng wanted to cry but had no tears. He clearly felt like he had shaken it off. He looked around but didn't see anything. He spread out his divine will and found nothing. Then he opened his snake eye and didn't see anything. He took out the Sarira and the Bodhi seed, the 2 Buddhist treasures. The 2 Buddhist treasures didn't react at all. Only then did Lin Feng let out a long breath. Although he didn't know why the soul catchers had run away when they saw him, Lin Feng felt that he hadn't found any clues even after using so many methods to search for that strange creature. That strange creature should have left by now, right? Perhaps it was because he had a trace of that strange creature's aura on him that the soul catchers had run away. Lin Feng didn't dare to stay. He continued walking deeper into the forest. A day later, he saw a white world in front of him. When he saw the white world, Lin Feng's face turned pale. It was a world of bones. At first glance, it seemed to be a boundless world of bones. Chapter 1287. Why are there so many skeletons? How many living beings have died here? How did such a huge world of skeletons form? Looking at the boundless world of skeletons, Lin Feng's face was filled with shock. The scene in front of him was too shocking. Anyone who saw that world of skeletons would probably feel their scalp go numb. Lin Feng carefully entered the world of skeletons. Cracking sounds could be heard from time to time. The skeletons here had long decayed and would shatter with a single step. Golden skeletons. Lin Feng saw a pile of skeletons more than 10 meters tall. He didn't know what kind of skeletons they belonged to. Golden skeletons. Such skeletons were very rare. The owner of the skeletons was probably an extremely powerful existence when he was alive. But now, even the skeletons were about to decay. Time was enough to bury everything. Time was enough to destroy everything. It didn't matter if it was a peerless expert or a beautiful woman with a heavenly fragrance. Who could resist the corrosion of time? They were destined to be devoured by the river of time. A gale swept up in the sea of skeletons. Bone dust filled the air. Many of the skeletons had already turned into powder. When the wind blew, it was like a sandstorm. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Feng choked and kept coughing. A hurricane swept in his direction. Many skeletons were swept up by the hurricane and were instantly crushed into powder. Lin Feng took out the hurricane pearl. When the hurricane swept over, he wasn't swept away. Instead, he stood there without moving. The hurricane pearl could resist all kinds of storms. Swoosh! Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a chill on his back. A skeletal creature appeared, holding a bone blade, and slashed at Lin Feng's head. The situation was very dangerous. Lin Feng's reaction was fast enough. When he felt the chill from behind, he moved to the left. The bone blade almost brushed past Lin Feng's neck. Lin Feng could not help sucking in a breath of cold air. That had been truly dangerous. Fortunately, he had the hurricane pearl to block the storm, allowing him to move around unhindered. If he didn't have the hurricane pearl, his movements would have been restricted by the hurricane. If that was the case, it would have been extremely difficult for him to avoid the attacks of the skeletal creatures. Perhaps he would have already been beheaded by the skeletal creatures. The skeletal creatures' movements weren't affected by the hurricane. After the skeletal creature's attack missed, it rushed towards Lin Feng again. Lin Feng brought out the revered sword tomb. The 3 swords flew out. Under the attack of the 3 flying swords, the skeleton creature was unable to withstand them. It was scattered by Lin Feng's flying swords. But what surprised Lin Feng was that the skeleton creature's body began to reform again. The skeleton's mouth opened and closed, making cracking sounds. The ghost fire in its eyes was still violently pulsing. This was an undead creature. Lin Feng frowned. Could it be that these skeletal creatures really couldn't be killed? He looked at the ghost fire in the skeleton's head. It wasn't a simple ghost fire. It was equivalent to the skeletal creature's eyes. Moreover, it contained a powerful energy. The ghost fire's color was deeper. Then the skeletal creature's strength would be even more powerful. Lin Feng suddenly thought that if he swallowed these 2 ghost fires, wouldn't the skeletal creature lose all its vitality? After thinking about this, Lin Feng directly reached out and grabbed the skeletal creature's head. Then he swallowed the 2 ghost fires of the skeletal creature. After the 2 ghost fires were swallowed, the skeletal creature's body that was in the process of reforming suddenly scattered. And this skeletal creature was thoroughly dead. After swallowing the 2 ghost fires of the skeletal creature, Lin Feng felt that his soul power had increased significantly. Obviously, the soul power contained in the ghost fire of the skeletal creature was extremely astonishing. At this time, the hurricane finally blew away. Lin Feng's face revealed an expression of relief. He quickly rushed away. Not long after, Lin Feng saw huge skeletons appear in his line of sight. Many of the skeletons were 300 to 400 meters tall. The bodies of these creatures were too huge. He didn't know what kind of existence they were when they were alive. Lin Feng had never seen so many huge skeletons piled up together. It was like a mountain of bones. It was simply appalling. What happened here in the past? Why were there so many huge skeletons? All of this made Lin Feng feel extremely puzzled and puzzled. Lin Feng shuttled back and forth among these huge skeletons. He hoped to find some useful clues. At the same time, Lin Feng also had a hope. Could he find a treasure bone? After some extremely powerful vicious beasts died, their ordinary bones would decay with the passage of time. However, the treasure bones in their bodies would decay very slowly. If he could find a treasure bone, then he would be able to obtain the powerful innate divine ability of these vicious beasts. This was something that Lin Feng valued. He liked to collect all kinds of powerful divine abilities to cultivate, because this could increase his fighting strength. Every time he cultivated a divine ability, his strength would increase. If he could obtain those powerful divine abilities, it would be a big harvest. When he passed by a huge skeleton, Lin Feng was surprised to find that he actually saw a very special skeletal creature. The reason why that skeletal creature was special was because Lin Feng found that the skeletal creature was also looking at him. The ghost fire in its eyes flickered violently. Then it turned around and left. The ghost fire in the skeletal creature's eyes was relatively dim. He didn't know if it was because it hadn't been a skeletal creature for too long. The aura of that skeletal creature was far from the aura emitted by those skeletal creatures that Lin Feng had seen before. The strength of that skeletal creature wasn't very powerful. However, Lin Feng couldn't forget the scene when it looked at him. Now, the skeletal creature was climbing on top of a huge skeleton. It seemed to be looking for something. It really has its own intelligence? Lin Feng was moved. Before, he was only guessing. Now, Lin Feng was almost certain that this skeletal creature in front of him was completely different from those skeletal creatures that only knew how to kill. This skeletal creature already had its own intelligence. It could think like a human and even cultivate. This was too inconceivable. How can there be such a skeletal creature? Where did it come from? Lin Feng guessed the origin of this skeletal creature, but his heart couldn't calm down. Chapter 1288. The skeletal creature's movements were very slow. However, it kept trying to climb up the huge skeleton. In the end, it came down from the skeleton again. It saw Lin Feng standing there and looking at it. The ghostly flames in the skeletal creature's eyes flickered violently. However, it did not stop. Step by step, it walked towards another huge skeleton. Crack, crack. Its bones made a grinding sound, and the luster on its body was also very dim. It climbed up the second huge skeleton and searched for what it was looking for, but it still found nothing. However, the skeletal creature was not discouraged. After searching through more than a dozen skeletons, it finally found what it was looking for. It was a beast bone that contained energy and was still emitting shocking fluctuations. After finding the beast bone, the skeletal creature was very excited. It climbed down from the skeleton and opened the beast bone. It stretched out its claws and handed the other half of the beast bone to Lin Feng. Lin Feng observed for a moment and found that the beast bone was very ordinary. It was not a treasure bone. Apart from containing a certain amount of energy, there was nothing special about it. However, the skeletal creature treated the beast bone as a treasure. It was absorbing the energy in the beast bone. After devouring the energy in the beast bone in its hand, the skeletal creature signaled Lin Feng to enjoy the energy in the other half. The skeletal creature kept staring at Lin Feng, as if expecting Lin Feng to enjoy the food like it did. Lin Feng did not disappoint the skeletal creature. After devouring the energy in the beast bone, he immediately found that this energy was different from ordinary energy. This energy seemed to contain a very strange power. That strange power might be the reason why the bone was not destroyed. Seeing Lin Feng devour the energy in the bone, the skeletal creature's eyes flickered violently. It seemed very excited. "What's your name?" Lin Feng asked. The skeletal creature tilted its head and looked straight at Lin Feng. Crack, crack. After a while, it seemed to understand Lin Feng's meaning. It shook its head. "How about you be called King Yama from now on?" Lin Feng asked with a smile. He suddenly thought of the legendary king of the underworld, King Yinluo. After hearing the words King Yinluo, the ghostly fire in the skeleton creature's eyes flickered even more intensely. It was very excited and kept nodding. In the following days, Lin Feng and King Yama headed towards the depths of the Bone Sea realm. As they went deeper, they encountered a few terrifying creatures. They were all formed from skeletons, but they only knew how to kill. Lin Feng beheaded some strange creatures formed from skeletons, while King Yama followed behind Lin Feng, devouring the ghost flames in the eyes of those skeletons. Lin Feng could also obtain benefits from devouring the ghost fire, but he realized that King Yama seemed to desire the ghost fire even more. Therefore, he let King Yanluo devour and refine all the ghost fire. However, King Yanluo had been too weak before, so it hadn't been able to kill other skeletons and devour their ghost fire. But now, with Lin Feng's help, Yama Luo was able to devour a large number of skeletons. The ghost fire in its eye sockets became even more profound. Its bones, which were originally grayish-brown in color, were now turning silver-white. King Yanluo wasn't simple. After devouring a large amount of ghost fire, it was evolving. Lin Feng. 10 days later, King Yanluo sent out a simple wave of energy. It was Lin Feng's name. Lin Feng had told King Yanluo his name when he had communicated with him before. Telepathy? Lin Feng jumped up from the ground and looked at King Yanluo in surprise. Haha, let's go and find more skeletons. I'll kill them and let you continue devouring them, said Lin Feng excitedly. During this time, some cultivators passed by the sea of skeletons. When they saw the strange combination of a human and a skeleton, they all retreated in fear. Lin Feng took out a large black robe, a pair of shoes, a black bamboo hat, and a cloak. He had King Yanluo wear them to cover his body. Roar. On this day, a dragon's roar echoed through the sea of skeletons. A terrifying chi filled the air. When King Yanluo heard the dragon's roar, he said telepathically, "Hurry up and play dead." Pacha. King Yanluo's body broke apart and turned into a pile of bones. His head rolled to the side and the ghost fire in its eye sockets disappeared. The newcomer had to be extremely terrifying. Otherwise, King Yanluo wouldn't have been so scared. Lin Feng hurriedly looked for a place to hide. Not long after, he saw a huge monster. It was a gigantic bone dragon that was 400 to 500 meters long. There were 18 chains tied around its body. A tall and mysterious figure in a black robe was holding the chains. A terrifying chi filled the air. It was as if a bone dragon knight from hell was patrolling the world. It was too terrifying. After the bone dragon knight left, another 8 bone dragon knights flew by one after another. King Yanluo only reassembled his body after all the bone dragons left. Lin Feng also came out from his hiding place. He looked at King Yanluo and asked, "Who are those 9 bone dragon knights?" "The Great General, Army of the Great Underworld, Great Hell, Devil, King of the Bone Dragon Army, on behalf of the Great Underworld, Great Hell, Devil, King, inspects this world." King Yanluo's voice was intermittent. "Dark Hell's Demon King? The ruler of this world?" Lin Feng asked. King Yanluo nodded. "It should be this Dark Hell's Demon King who swallowed us into this space." Lin Feng frowned. He then asked, "Where is Dark Hell's Demon King?" "The end of world," King Yanluo said. Lin Feng nodded. He still hadn't found a way to deal with Dark Hell's Demon King. He could only wait for the time being. Lin Feng wondered if he should wait until he found Gananji and the others to discuss countermeasures. Lin Feng and King Yanluo continued walking. Now that King Yanluo was wearing clothes to cover himself, Lin Feng didn't have to worry about others looking at him strangely. The next day, Lin Feng and King Yanluo saw a huge skeleton. This skeleton was actually blood red in color. It was as huge as a 1,000-meter-tall mountain. They didn't know what kind of skeleton it was. King Yanluo climbed up the skeleton and waved at Lin Feng. Lin Feng flew over. "Treasure. Bone." He was extremely shocked. King Yanluo had actually discovered a treasure bone. After entering the Sea of Bones for so long, this was the first time Lin Feng had seen a treasure bone. The divine runes engraved on it were extremely complicated. Lin Feng glanced at it and felt dazzled. This treasure bone was too extraordinary. Swoosh. Lin Feng had just taken the treasure bone when more than 10 people flew over from the distance. Among these people, there were experts from the Great Qin Empire as well as Xuemuyang and Qin Dongfang. Obviously, they had also seen Lin Feng and King Yanluo. It's a blood-red treasure bone. Little brat, hurry up and give it to me," said Xuemuyang while looking down at Lin Feng. as if he were talking to his dog. Shui Muyang looked at Lin Feng in a domineering way. Chapter 1289. If Lin Feng could see that the treasure bone was extraordinary, so could Shui Muyang. Qin Dongfang could see the same thing, but he was a more thoughtful person. He wasn't as arrogant as Shui Muyang, so he stood to the side and watched the show. Whoosh! Whoosh! Another two groups of people flew over. One group was Qiananji, Duamujin, and the others. The other group was a group of cultivators who had been devoured along with them. These people had also discovered the Sea of Bones and had gone deep into it. Now, they had met each other in the center. Is Shui Muyang teaching that young cultivator a lesson again? Some people shook their heads. This wasn't the first time they had seen Shui Muyang teach Lin Feng a lesson. Qiananji had helped Lin Feng before, so Shui Muyang had restrained himself. However, now that Shui Muyang had taken a fancy to Lin Feng's treasure bone, he wouldn't let Lin Feng off so easily unless Lin Feng was willing to hand over the treasure bone. Many people looked at Lin Feng sympathetically. In this world, the strong preyed on the weak. Take Lin Feng, for example. He didn't have any strength, so Shui Muyang had humiliated him and bullied him. He could only accept his bad luck and couldn't refute Shui Muyang unless he wanted to die. I found it. If you want it, you can find it yourself. The treasure bone was extraordinary, and there was probably a terrifying divine ability imprinted on it. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't hand it over to Shui Muyang. This kid is still too young. Giving up his life for a treasure is too stupid. He'll regret it later. Many cultivators shook their heads. In their eyes, Lin Feng was too young. How could he contend with Shui Muyang and the others? It was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Shui Muyang obviously hadn't expected Lin Feng to refuse him. His expression sank, and he looked coldly at Lin Feng. Do you know what you're saying? Lin Feng said, Of course I know. Don't you understand human language? Everyone was dumbfounded. Everyone looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. No one would have thought that Lin Feng would dare to speak to Shui Muyang in such a manner. Did he really not want to live anymore? Or did he lose his mind? What is this guy doing? Tianji frowned slightly. She also did not understand why Lin Feng's guts were so big. This was also what everyone else was puzzled about. Previously, when facing Shui Muyang, Lin Feng had never shown any intention of resisting. Even when Shui Muyang scolded him to get lost, he endured it. But now, it was as if he was a completely different person. Could it be related to the black-robed cultivator beside him? However, when they carefully sensed the black-robed cultivator's strength, they found that the black-robed cultivator was not all that strong. Did he really want to die? Many people had such thoughts. You're acting recklessly. Teach him a lesson. Shui Muyang's voice was cold. Yes, my lord. Immediately, an expert stepped forward, a hegemon of the eternal era. This person's strength was extremely tyrannical. He stepped forward and looked coldly at Lin Feng. He sneered. You even dare to offend Lord Shui? You're simply acting recklessly. This ancient overlord punched Lin Feng's dantian as fast as lightning. He wanted to directly cripple Lin Feng. How ruthless. He wants to cripple that brat with his first move. That brat is finished. Many people cried out in alarm. In everyone's opinion, Lin Feng was only a young cultivator in his 20s. Naturally, it was impossible for him to block the attack of a high-level ancient overlord. I didn't attack before not because I was afraid of you, but because I didn't want to attack in the dangerous swamp, because it could very well lead to some terrible things. At that time, everyone could die in the swamp. Since I've been swallowed into this unknown space, I don't have to worry about anything else. Lin Feng's expression was cold. He stepped forward. A terrifying force condensed. In an instant, it pressed down on the body of the high-ranking ancient overlord. Bang! The ancient overlord didn't even have the strength to resist. His body instantly exploded into pieces. How is this possible? Many people cried out in alarm. They couldn't believe it. How strong was this young man to be able to rely on his own force to shatter a high-level ancient overlord, who was at least at the 7th layer of the life and death realm? This young man has always been low-key. I didn't expect him to be so strong. Yeah, I even chatted with him a bit. He seemed amiable and approachable. I didn't expect him to have such terrifying strength. It's really unexpected. He killed a high-level ancient overlord with just his force. He's probably already at the rebirth realm, right? He's already at the rebirth realm in his 20s? There aren't many people like that in the continent of heaven. Which supreme genius is he? Many people cried out in alarm and started discussing spiritedly. This person, he's so strong. Who is he? And Ji was also shocked. She hadn't paid much attention to Lin Feng before. Although she felt that Lin Feng was extraordinary, she hadn't thought that Lin Feng would be so strong. Ing Dongfang and Duanmu Jin were also shocked. Of course, Xuemuyang was also shocked. Brat, you dared to kill a member of my Earth Master branch. Do you know that you're courting death? Xuemuyang's face was extremely gloomy. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Did you know that I was planning to take your dog life as soon as I left the swamp? But now, it seems that I'll have to bring it forward. Lin Feng stood in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. He coldly looked at Xuemuyang and said, "Kneel down and accept your death." At that moment, Lin Feng's domineering aura was completely exposed. He didn't hide his strength. The qi emitted from his body made many people feel suffocated. This person is too terrifying. Many people cried out in alarm and looked at Lin Feng in astonishment. They had heard of some monstrous supreme geniuses who had incredible battle prowess at such a young age, but they had never seen such a person. Now, they were witnessing it with their own eyes. It was as if a huge wave had been set off in his heart. How incredible was his innate talent! How could he be so strong when he was only in his 20s? Brat, do you think you can talk big in front of me just because you're a little bit strong? Today, I'll let you know that there's always someone better than you. Don't worry, I won't kill you directly, because that would be letting you off too easily. I'll break every single bone in your body, pull out your soul, and throw it into a boundless purgatory so that you'll never be able to live again," said Xuemuyang sinisterly. He walked towards Lin Feng, his qi becoming more and more powerful. Suppress him. Xuemuyang was at the rebirth realm. He was extremely strong. He raised his right hand and threw a punch at Lin Feng. He wanted to suppress Lin Feng. Chapter 1290. As expected, Xuemuyang was extremely arrogant. When he attacked, he looked down on Lin Feng and despised him. But Lin Feng didn't hesitate to use his full strength. She looked indifferent. She used the 5 Imperial Dragon Fists and punched Xuemuyang. Lin Feng's back was surrounded by holy light. 5 great emperors and 5 dragons appeared. The great emperor came riding on a huge dragon, pointing at the sky and stomping on the earth. Bang! The two of them collided, and a powerful energy surged out. The surrounding void was torn apart by the tremors. Lin Feng didn't move, but Xuemuyang was blown away by Lin Feng's punch. What? Many people were dumbstruck. Xuemuyang was at a disadvantage against Lin Feng in their first battle. Nobody had thought that it would happen. Xuemuyang, I'm going to kill you today. Nobody will be able to save you. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He stepped forwards and used spatial bending. Lin Feng was extremely fast. When Xuemuyang was blown away by Lin Feng's punch, Lin Feng had already arrived next to Xuemuyang. Close combat. Lin Feng was an expert in close combat. Lin Feng punched Xuemuyang as fast as lightning. Xuemuyang's expression changed slightly. He tried to dodge, but it was easier said than done to dodge Lin Feng's attack. Bang! Lin Feng's punch landed on Xuemuyang's left shoulder. Crack, crack. Xuemuyang's left shoulder caved in. Xuemuyang couldn't help but scream. Xuemuyang's face was deathly pale. His heart was burning with fury. Xuemuyang had never suffered such a great loss in his life. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who had injured him. The most important thing was that Xuemuyang's body was damaged. Take another punch. Lin Feng arrived next to Xuemuyang again. He used pure physical strength to attack Xuemuyang. Fulgurating shadows. Xuemuyang wasn't simple. He used a powerful technique, fulgurating shadows. He teleported away and dodged Lin Feng's attack. Xuemuyang put some distance between himself and Lin Feng because he realized that when Lin Feng attacked him at close range, he couldn't keep up with Lin Feng's attacks. But if he put some distance between them, Xuemuyang wasn't afraid of Lin Feng at all. I, Xuemuyang, have never suffered such a great loss before. I'm going to kill you. Xue Muyang roared in anger. He condensed a supreme mystic ability, and a mysterious world appeared in the sky. In that world, there were countless ancient countries that had existed for hundreds of millions of years without declining. Divine territories, divine territory. It was an emperor's technique. In the past, Xue Muyang had a fortuitous encounter. It was said that he had obtained the inheritance of a great emperor. This was not groundless news, it was true. The divine territory was the emperor's divine territory. Xue Muyang walked through it. He was surrounded by boundless godly light. It was as if a god-emperor had descended. I represent the glory of the gods. I represent the immortal god-emperor, to judge this lowly creature. A beam of godly light shot out from the divine territory. Break! Lin Feng looked indifferent as he punched the beam of godly light. Bang! Lin Feng collided with the beam of godly light. He was blown away. The terrifying godly light penetrated his body, trying to destroy it. That strength was extremely strange. Lin Feng used the 8 godly abstraction seals and sealed the strange strength inside his body. That's an emperor's technique. A great emperor's inheritance is extraordinary. Before, Lin Qing had the upper hand and suppressed Xue Muyang, but now Xue Muyang knows an emperor's technique. He's in trouble. Emperor's techniques are peerless. Only top-tier great Dao cultivators or emperor's techniques of the same level can resist them. But regardless of whether they're top-tier great Dao cultivators or emperor's techniques of the same level, they're extremely rare. Does that mean Lin Qing is dead for sure? Many cultivators whispered to each other. Xue Muyang's emperor's technique was too powerful. The spectators didn't even dare get close. They were afraid that the shockwaves would kill them. Even Gan and Ji and the others frowned and looked at Xue Muyang seriously. I know an emperor's technique. How can you fight against me? Xue Muyang looked down at Lin Feng. His voice was cold and filled with murderous intent. Beams of godly light shot out from the divine territory. It was as if they could destroy the sky. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He stepped forward in the sky. Xue Muyang, I said I'd kill you today, so I'll definitely cut off your head. Many people were moved. Lin Feng was too domineering. He was facing Xue Muyang, who had used an emperor's technique, and he was still threatening to kill him. Did he really have the strength to do so? The 3 forces overlapped. Lin Feng walked towards the divine territory of the other countries. When the godly light shot out from the divine territory of the other countries, it was all dispersed by the 3 forces. One region, crushing the ancient world. Xue Muyang sneered. The divine territory of the other countries descended from the sky and pressed down on Lin Feng. A terrifying aura filled the air and enveloped Lin Feng. In an instant, Lin Feng found it difficult to move. That brat has been sealed. Is this the end of the battle? Many people cried out in alarm when they saw this. Xue Muyang also sneered. He urged the divine territory of the other countries to kill Lin Feng. Emperor technique, seal of life and death. At that moment, Lin Feng's left hand formed the Tao of life, while his right hand formed the Tao of death. Life and death, 2 different Tao characters, condensed into a magical seal. This was the seal of life and death. Lin Feng used the power of life and death. Bang! The seal of life and death collided with the divine territory of the other countries. Splat! The divine territory of the other countries was instantly torn apart by the seal of life and death. Then, Lin Feng quickly charged into the divine territory of the other countries. Great suppression technique. 8 seals of the soul. 2 top-tier divine abilities were used. One was used to suppress, and the other was used to seal. Runes swirled around them. My magic power. You want to suppress me? Don't even think about it. Xue Muyang's expression suddenly changed, and he bellowed. Earth Master Seal Breaking Technique. Xue Muyang used an ultimate technique that was similar to the formation breaking technique of the Heavenly Masters, but its power was naturally much weaker. The runes on his body shattered one by one, but it would take time to completely destroy them. The formation breaking technique of the Heavenly Masters could instantly destroy all the runes. Xue Muyang, it's useless. It's all over. I'll take your head. Lin Feng stepped forward and grabbed Xue Muyang's head. Splat! Xuemuyang's head was ripped off by Lin Feng, and blood spurted out. Xuemuyang's headless corpse quickly fell to the ground. Heavens! Xuemuyang was beheaded. Cries of alarm rose and fell one after another. Many people turned pale with fright as they looked at Lin Feng, who was holding Xuemuyang's head in midair. Xuemuyang was an expert at the second heavenly layer of the rebirth realm. He had even used an emperor technique, but Lin Feng had still easily killed him. Everyone was shocked as they thought about it. Just how terrifying was that young cultivator's strength? Lin Feng's right hand tapped the person's head. Puff. His head was pierced through, and his corpse fell down. Rumble. At that moment, the sky shook and the earth shook. What's going on? Everyone was shocked and looked around. Look, over there. Oh my God. Someone pointed into the distance. The sky was filled with soul catchers and all kinds of fierce birds. On the ground, there were countless fierce beasts, zombies, skeletons, and other terrifying creatures. Roar. The roar shook the sky. Among the sea of bones, skeletons as huge as mountains rose to their feet. Those skeletons had clearly lost their lives before. Now, they had all turned into skeletons. What's going on? Seeing this scene, many people felt their scalps go numb. They were afraid that the skeletons in the sea of skeletons would attack them. However, the skeletons didn't attack them. Roar. A high-pitched dragon roar resounded through the sky. 9 bone dragon knights rode their bone dragons and patrolled the sky. Blood moon. Look, at the end of the world, a blood-red moon has risen. A cultivator pointed into the depths. Everyone looked over and saw a blood-red moon slowly rising into the sky. Finally, it stopped in the void. Now, the strange changes in the mysterious space, was it related to the blood-red moon? Lin Feng looked at King Yanluo and asked, what happened? Once every 1,000 years, the blood moon appears and the dead are resurrected to fight for freedom. King Yanluo took off his bamboo hat. He had actually grown flesh and blood. It was a pale face, and now, his eyes were looking into the depths. Quick look. Those skeletons are growing flesh and blood. The surrounding cultivators also cried out in alarm, pointing at the densely packed skeletal creatures in the sea of bones. All the skeletons had grown flesh and blood. Tyrannosaurus rex, sky lizard, great desolate crocodile, and so on and so forth. There were endless vicious beasts, all kinds of vicious beasts. In the sky was an army of soul catchers and birds. On the ground was an army of vicious beasts and undead. The bone dragons under the 9 bone dragon knights had now turned into huge black dragons. Lord Black-Robed Dragon Knight. Countless creatures roared. Once every 1,000 years, we must rise up and resist. We must not be enslaved again. If we still fail, we are destined to be enslaved again. Follow us to the end of the world. A dragon knight waved the battle sword in his hand and roared, kill our way to the depths of the world. Countless creatures roared loudly. Quick, let's go and see what's going on. Many cultivators shouted as they followed the army and charged into the depths. King Yanluo, what's going on? Lin Feng was puzzled. The undead were resurrecting and fighting for their freedom. It was too strange. The living beings here are all cursed living beings. In the depths of this world resides the emissary of hell. He has enslaved everyone here, and after they die, their souls will never be able to reincarnate. Once every 1,000 years, the emissary of hell will give the cursed living beings a chance. If they can defeat him, they will be able to redeem their souls and regain their freedom. Lin Feng was shocked. Obviously, the emissary of hell that King Yanluo was talking about was the demon king of the Great Ming prison. Why are they cursed? Lin Feng asked. I don't know. I only remember that they will be cursed for eternity. Even though they know that resistance is useless, the creatures here will still resist again and again. Even if there is a glimmer of hope, they will not give up. King Yanluo said. They had waited for 1,000 years for this battle. These cursed creatures were filled with the will to fight against fate. Lin Feng and King Yanluo also charged into the depths of the world with the army. He also wanted to participate in this battle. The cycle of reincarnation happened once every 1,000 years, and all living beings in this space would die a tragic death. In other words, If they couldn't defeat the Demon King of the Great Ming Prison, Lin Feng would also die here and become an undead. He would never be able to escape the control of the Demon King of the Great Ming Prison. He would be tortured for all eternity. Chapter 1292. In the sky and on the ground, countless armies gathered together and rushed to the ends of this world. An ancient palace appeared in the depths of this world. This palace was over 1,000 meters tall and occupied an area of over 10 miles. It was simply too gigantic. Endless demonic chi lingered around the palace. What a gigantic palace! Many people gasped. They were all extremely shocked. There was actually such a palace? It was simply too gigantic. On the signboard of the palace, there were 4 ancient words. Samsara Devil Palace. Samsara, Lin Feng mumbled. His heart trembled because at this moment, Lin Feng thought of many things. The word samsara contained too much content. What's going on exactly? Qianji flew towards Lin Feng and asked. She could sense that Lin Feng wasn't simple, and she couldn't see through Lin Feng. Qianji felt that Lin Feng might know something. This woman was extremely sensitive, and her senses were extremely accurate. Lin Feng replied, "The devil in the Samsara Devil Palace is the one who devoured us. Every 1,000 years, the living beings in this space have a chance to resist. If we can win against the devil, we will be able to redeem our souls. For this battle, we have no chance to retreat because if we lose, we will also die and our souls will be enslaved." Qianji's expression was extremely unsightly. She was extremely ambitious. She naturally wouldn't be willing to die here. "I'll go and tell this to the others." Qianji left and told Duanmujin, Ng Dongfang, and the others. This piece of news caused their expressions to turn extremely unsightly. They didn't doubt Lin Feng's words because the situation in front of them was enough to explain everything. In front of the Samsara Devil Palace, it was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The 9-headed dragon knight hovered in the air, coldly staring in the direction of the Devil Palace. Rumbling sounds rang out as the pitch-black doors of the Devil Palace opened. Immediately after, a burly man in black armor walked out step by step. That man was at least 3 meters tall, and his body emitted a suffocating pressure. "My lowly slaves, are you going to start the path of rebellion that only happens once every 1,000 years again? I already lost count of how many times I've played this game, but every time, I would have a different experience. Hurry up and attack. I can't wait to slaughter you all." The Devil King of Hell's voice was ice-cold. "Charge!" The 9 dragon knights waved their swords and roared. Roar! Hordes of beasts roared as countless creatures charged towards the infernal king of Great Ming Purgatory. It's been 1,000 years, and only now can the dead regain their lives. The creatures who turned into skeletons gained flesh and blood. The creatures who were enslaved gained temporary freedom. This feeling of freedom is really good. King Yinluo took a deep breath. "All of you, die. Death, God of the Hammer." Great Ming Purgatory's Demon King roared and smashed the giant hammer in his hand forward. That was a divine artifact-level treasure. A hammer smashed out. It was as if it could destroy the world. In the sky and on the ground, countless living beings were smashed into meat paste. The Devil King of Hell was too terrifying. In Lin Feng's eyes, there was no difference between him and the Death God. He rushed into the army and began a one-sided massacre. Countless living beings died tragically. "After I kill you all, I will recreate you all. This game of 1,000 years of reincarnation will continue endlessly. And I am the ruler of this world, controlling everything." The Devil King of Hell's roar shook the sky. This existence was truly too powerful and terrifying. He was simply invincible. Everywhere he went, everything was destroyed. Countless living beings fell, dying tragically on the spot. However, more and more living beings charged forward fearlessly. Bang! 100-meter-tall golden giant wielding a giant axe sent the Great Ming Purgatory's Demon King flying. But it was useless. The defensive power of that pitch-black armor was too astonishing. No matter what kind of attack landed on his body, it couldn't kill him. "Ha ha ha ha, how can you break the 7 sets of the Death God set?" The Devil King of Hell sneered. His hammer was the hammer of the death god. His armor was the armor of the death god. They were both divine artifacts of the death god set. One focused on attack, while the other focused on defense. Ignite my battle blood, fight for freedom, even if I die, I have no regrets. The 9 dragon knights roared. In the distance, the army of zombies burned fiercely, charging towards the Devil King of Hell without fear of death. All the zombies died tragically, their bodies exploding into a bloody mist. The army of soul eaters gathered together and charged forward as fast as lightning. The army of soul eaters was not spared either. All the soul eaters disappeared into thin air. The densely packed beasts charged together. 10,000 beasts galloped, but in the end, they were smashed into meat paste by the hammer of the death god. Kill! King Yinluo rushed forward. He and the rest of the army suffered a blow from the hammer of the death god, their bodies exploding. I am invincible. The Devil King of Hell's roar shook the sky. With my body, I sacrificed to the heavens. In the end, there was no army left. The 9 dragon knights began to sacrifice themselves. Their bodies, along with their dragon mounts. They were also burning fiercely. They used the sacrificial technique, hoping to kill the Devil King of Great Ming Purgatory. Lin Feng, Xianji, Ing Dongfang, Duamu Jin, Wu Yong, and the others were all dumbfounded. They had never seen such a great battle before. They knew that they would die miserably, but still, they were not afraid of death. 1,000 years of waiting, just for this battle. Even if his body and soul were destroyed, he would have no regrets, just for the slightest possibility of releasing the enslaved souls. Bang, bang. The bodies of the 9 dragon knights exploded one by one. The Devil King of Hell laughed and said, "The 9 of you are the people I value the most. I like to see you lead countless lowly creatures to resist me again and again, and feel the unwillingness and pain after failing. We would rather die than be enslaved for all eternity." A dragon knight roared. His body and the dragon beneath him also exploded. A loud rumbling sound rang out, and a huge door appeared in the sky. Countless creatures sacrificed themselves, and through the sacrifice, they opened a divine door. Bang, bang, bang. In the end, the bodies of the 9 dragon knights all exploded. But the power of the sacrifice was not enough. Princess Livon, the dozen or so cultivators of the Shang dynasty roared and rushed towards the sacrificial door. Their bodies exploded, and they were swallowed by the door. Prince Livon, the elder of the clan beside Dongfang, roared and led a group of powerhouses into the sky. Their bodies exploded as they sacrificed themselves to the divine door. Prince, take care. The cultivators beside Duanmu Jin also rushed into the sky, their bodies burning fiercely as they sacrificed themselves. Little Dong, if you can get out of here alive, you must find the spirit medicine to save the ancestor. Uncle Wu Yong looked at his son, Wu Dong, and then rushed forward with his clansmen. Many people rushed towards the sacrificial door, sacrificing their own lives. Rumble, finally. The sacrificial door opened. A beam of light of judgment descended from the sky and shot towards the Devil King of Hell. The power of judgment. If you want to kill the Devil King of Hell, it won't be that easy. Great Ming Prison's Demon King roared and swung the Death God hammer. Bang! He collided with the light of judgment. The terrifying collision caused the ground to sink. Wah! Lin Feng and the others were sent flying by the shockwaves. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground, unable to move. The hammer of death in the Devil King's hand was sent flying, and the armor of death also lost its godly power and retracted back into the Devil King's body. Half of the Devil King's body exploded, and he lay on the ground, his life or death unknown. Chapter 1293. Is he dead? Everyone looked at the Devil King, who was lying on the ground. However, after being blown away by the shockwaves, they couldn't move anymore. Their faces were pale. Everyone had suffered quite a bit of trauma. I'm immortal. Great Dark Purgatory's Devil King bellowed. He struggled to sit up. He's not dead. We're finished. The surviving cultivators looked at Great Ming Prison's Devil King in horror. Now, there was only fear and trembling. In the face of such a terrifying existence, who could contend against him. Only death awaited them. Ha 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 ha, this feels great. It's been a long time since I felt so good. You actually managed to injure me through a sacrificial technique. Even a group of ants working together can display extraordinary power. Great Ming Prison's Devil King suddenly burst into laughter. He's crazy. Lin Feng and the others felt their scalps go numb. Half of their bodies had been blown up, but the Devil King still looked very happy. If he wasn't crazy, then what was he? Little ants, I'm going to eat you to replenish my strength, the Devil King said sinisterly. Said the Demon King of Great Ming. He stood up and walked towards Lin Feng and the others. Many people were so scared that their faces were as white as paper. They struggled to get up, but their injuries were too severe. Their magic power had been scattered long ago, so they couldn't get up at all. Great Underworld Prison's Demon King arrived in front of a cultivator and grabbed his leg. He bit down on the cultivator's leg and tore it apart. Chila, a large piece of flesh was torn off. Ah! The cultivator screamed. Everyone else was trembling in fear. He was eating people alive. The Devil King of Dark Prison was too cruel. Lin Feng tried to use his immortal body to heal his injuries, but an extremely strange power surged into his body, making it difficult for Lin Feng to activate his immortal body. His expression was extremely ugly. If he couldn't recover from his injuries, wouldn't that mean that only death awaited him? So hungry. So hungry. Great Underworld Prison's Demon King shouted as he ate the living humans. It didn't take long for the Demon King to devour tins of cultivators alive, but he was still shouting that he was hungry. This guy's appetite was too good. Do you know why I devoured all of you? That's because I'm always very hungry after each battle. I need to eat a lot of food to replenish my nutrients. The Demon King of Great Ming Prison said sinisterly, You demon. Some people knew that they couldn't escape death, so they became bolder and cursed loudly. Devil? I was forced. Do you think I was willing to eat raw human flesh? If I wasn't cursed by that damned Samsara devil hall and turned into their slave for all eternity, do you think I would be willing to stay in this place? Great Ming Prison's Devil King roared furiously. Curse? Slavery? Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. He thought of Fire Crow and the Great Desire Demon King in the Universe Cavern. They were both enslaved by the Universe Cavern and the Cursed Cavern. Wasn't this similar to the Great Underworld Prison's Devil King who was enslaved by the Samsara Devil Hall? You were enslaved, so you caused the deaths of so many people? Then, many people will suffer the same fate as you. Those innocent people will suffer endless pain as well? Lin Feng said, Why am I the only one who suffers? I want everyone to suffer with me. Ha ha ha. Great Ming Prison's Devil King laughed loudly. You're crazy. Lin Feng smiled coldly. Great Ming Prison's Devil King curled his lips and said, No matter what the world thinks, I don't care. I can do whatever I want now. I can control the life and death of lowly creatures like you. You're all going to become my food. After I eat you and recover, I'll activate the reincarnation deployment spell. All the dead creatures will come back to life, but their souls will be enslaved by me again. They'll lose their sense of self, their consciousness, and they'll wait for 1,000 years. You'll all become my souls. Great Ming Prison's Devil King continued eating people. Lin Feng looked grim. He kept trying to activate his immortal godly body, but he kept failing. In the end, Lin Feng gave up. He decided to try to communicate with the ruler's great imperial blood in his body and see if he could communicate with the ruler's great imperial blood. This time, Lin Feng wasn't disappointed. In fact, he was very happy because he actually managed to connect with the Sovereign Emperor's blood. The Sovereign Emperor's blood shook slightly. Then, a stream of sovereign power flowed in his body. This stream of sovereign power devoured the strange energy flowing in Lin Feng's body. After the strange energy disappeared, Lin Feng found that he could use the immortal body again. Crunch! Crunch! The sound of chewing could be heard. Great Ming Prison's Devil King ate a few more cultivators. He then moved on to the next cultivator. Don't eat me! Don't eat me! Wu Dong shouted in fear. Wu Dong was Wu Yong's son. He had seen his father and a few uncles in the clan sacrifice themselves to open the sacrificial gate and kill Great Ming Prison's Devil King. Seeing so many people die tragically was a huge blow to Wudong. Now that Great Ming Prison's Devil King was going to eat him alive, Wudong was about to collapse. You shouldn't be afraid because it's your honor to be eaten by me. Great Ming Prison's Devil King said sinisterly. He grabbed Wudong, wanting to eat him like he ate the others. Whoosh! At this moment, a cold light as fast as lightning flew in front of Great Ming Prison's Devil King. Clang! When the attack landed on the Great Dark Prison's Devil King's body, it didn't manage to break the Devil King's body. All it did was send him flying. Seeing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp. He used the regal sword controlling art to control the Black Dragon sword to attack, but it didn't hurt Great Ming Prison's Devil King at all. Wasn't his physical body too strong? Kikik. Great Ming Prison's Devil King laughed eerily. He got up from the ground and looked at Lin Feng with his eerie eyes. You still have the strength to fight? This is really beyond my expectations. This year is really interesting. I was injured by a group of ants and was sent flying by an even weaker ant. Your bloodline seems to be quite extraordinary. This is great. I can't wait to eat your flesh and drink your blood. Great Ming Prison's Devil King licked the blood at the corner of his mouth. It was the blood of the cultivators he ate. Then, he walked towards Lin Feng. Chapter 1294. Lin Feng had never felt such pressure before. At his peak, Great Ming's Devil King was definitely a god. Although he was heavily injured, his combat strength was far beyond what Lin Feng could contend with. Gods, even if they only had a single breath left, they could easily kill mortals. Lin Feng was a mortal. Kid, it seems like you have an extraordinary background. I'm very curious. What exactly is your background? Great Ming's Devil King walked over step by step. With every step he took, the ground would tremble. Lin Feng kept retreating. If I tell you, will you let me go? Great Ming's Devil King laughed strangely. What? Are you afraid? I can tell you clearly that I will eat you like a delicious snack, so I won't let you go. As soon as Great Ming's Devil King finished speaking, Lin Feng turned around and ran into the distance. In the face of disaster, everyone fled. Lin Feng thought he could kill Great Ming's Devil King with a sneak attack, but the Devil King was unharmed. He knew that with his current strength, he didn't have the ability to fight against Great Ming's Devil King. Even though Great Ming's Devil King was heavily injured and couldn't use even 1% of his strength, killing Lin Feng was still a very simple task. If he could win, he would fight. If he couldn't win, he would run. This was Lin Feng's principle. As for the lives of the others, it had nothing to do with Lin Feng. He wasn't noble enough to sacrifice himself for a group of strangers. Great Ming's Devil King's mouth twitched violently when he saw Lin Feng running into the distance. At this moment, he felt as if his intelligence had been insulted. Kid, this is a world under my control. Where can you run to? Great Ming's Devil King flew into a rage. Lin Feng stopped and scratched his head. I'm sorry. I forgot I was trapped in here. You can let me out and I'll see if I can escape, said Lin Feng, scratching his head. I'm sorry. I forgot I was trapped in here. The Great Ming Purgatory's Demon King's face turned ashen when he saw Lin Feng's serious expression. He felt that the kid before him was obviously toying with him. Said the Great Underworld Prison's Devil King, smiling coldly. Little brat, you don't have the qualifications to continue. Everything ends here. Die. As soon as his voice fell, the Demon King of Great Ming Prison raised his right hand and condensed a huge energy palm in the void. It descended from the sky and slapped towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng stepped on the 8 directional worlds and quickly flew into the distance. Bang! The palm that descended from the sky did not hit Lin Feng. Instead, it slammed into the ground. Little brat, you're quite strong. However, I'll let you have a taste of my demon dragon fist. Let's see if you can withstand my attack. As soon as he finished speaking, the Demon King of Great Ming Prison's Devil King punched towards Lin Feng. He turned into a blur and arrived in front of Lin Feng in the blink of an eye. His fist was locked onto Lin Feng's body. What a fast speed! Lin Feng was shocked. The Great Ming Purgatory's Devil King only had half of his body left. He looked like he was about to die, but he still had such shocking speed. Lin Feng realized that he could no longer dodge. He had no choice but to block the Demon King's attack. Bang! The two sides collided. Crack, crack. Lin Feng and the great Ming Purgatory's Devil King's arms were directly broken. Lin Feng's body was sent flying a few hundred meters away. He crashed heavily onto the ground. The difference between the two sides was too great. They were not on the same level at all. Even a peak rebirth realm cultivator would be blown to pieces after taking that punch from me. Yet, you only lost an arm? Your body is almost as strong as a god's body. Your cultivation base is so weak. How can your body be so strong? The great Ming Purgatory's Devil King looked at Lin Feng in shock. It was indeed a shocking thing. Others might not be able to tell Lin Feng's cultivation level, but someone like the great Ming Purgatory's Devil King could definitely tell Lin Feng's cultivation level. It was because he knew Lin Feng's cultivation level that he was so shocked when Lin Feng had a body comparable to a god's. Lin Feng coughed up a mouthful of blood and struggled to get up from the ground. He did not answer the Devil King's question. Instead, he silently circulated his immortal body. Lin Feng's injuries quickly recovered. Immortal body. One of the 10 great taboo bodies of the immemorial era. What a genius. If you hadn't met me and continued to grow, your future would be limitless. But now, you are destined to become my food. The great Ming Purgatory's Devil King seemed to be talking to himself, but also seemed to be talking to Lin Feng. Boom. He attacked again. This time, the battle strength he displayed was more than 10 times stronger than before. Lin Feng was shocked to find that his body was imprisoned. He could not move at all. The great Ming Purgatory's Devil King was too terrifying. After all, he was a god. Even if he was severely injured and his strength was greatly weakened, he was still a god. His divine might was inviolable. Lin Feng was imprisoned and could not move at all. The god's attack made him feel the aura of death. Lin Feng was not willing to die at the hands of a god. He circulated the immemorial dragonesque elephant art. Immemorial dragonesque elephant, descent of the sacred emperor. The immemorial dragonesque elephant shadow appeared. Lin Feng felt the pressure enveloping his body disappear instantly. Swoosh. Lin Feng used the void travel technique and disappeared through the void. The great Ming Purgatory's Devil King's attack landed on empty air. Lin Feng appeared 20 meters away. He smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to be able to jump around. In the end, you still can't escape death." The great Ming Purgatory's Devil King walked toward Lin Feng again. At this moment, Lin Feng's expression was extremely ugly. He could not continue to hide like this. God would catch him sooner or later. He had to quickly find a way to resist the great Ming Purgatory's Devil King. Otherwise, only death would await him. But how could the great Ming Purgatory's Devil King be so easy to resist? Even a divine weapon would find it difficult to kill the great Ming Purgatory's Devil King. God's spell book. Lin Feng's gaze suddenly fell on this treasure. He had exchanged 10 spirit herbs that were more than 50,000 years old with Qiao Ling at a small trade fair. Lin Feng had studied the God's spell book for a long time before he discovered its extraordinariness. Although the great Tao of the God's spell book was incomplete, the 16 ancient characters on it still formed a complete divine decree. Gods of all worlds, 10,000 laws, 10,000 schools, control the life and death of countless living beings. These 16 ancient characters contained a power that could destroy heaven and earth. Lin Feng had never used the God's spellbook before. Today, in order to resist the great Ming Purgatory's Devil King, Lin Feng summoned the God's spellbook. Boom! The moment the God's spellbook was summoned, it soared into the sky and floated above Lin Feng. The 16 ancient characters emitted unexpected waves of energy as divine light intertwined. Within the divine light, the shadow of a handsome man wearing a divine robe appeared. He was like the ruler of heaven and earth. After he appeared, the entire world seemed to come to a standstill. Endless years? What's the date? The mysterious existence spoke. His voice was fleeting, as if it had crossed the river of time and traveled from the immemorial era. Chapter 1295. Is this the ancient powerhouse who wrote the God Spirit spellbook? Lin Feng looked at the mysterious figure floating above the God Spirit spellbook, his heart filled with shock. Now that the ancient existence had appeared, Could it help him slay a god? God's Spirit Spellbook. Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King clearly recognized the God Spirit Spellbook. His voice was indifferent. The great Tao of the God Spirit Spellbook is flawed. How can it kill me? Boom. Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King attacked. He stepped forward, the aura in his body growing stronger and more terrifying. With every step he took, the heavens seemed to tremble. At that moment, Lin Feng realized that Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King did not use much strength when he attacked him. It was too easy for him to kill Lin Huang. Perhaps it was because of Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King's personality that he had time to use the God Spirit Spellbook. Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King had been trapped for too many years. He was lonely and loved to tease others. He let those who were teased die slowly in fear. It was like a cat teasing a mouse. Therefore, Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King attacked Lin Feng just now to tease Lin Feng. However, Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King did not expect Lin Feng to be able to use a treasure like the God Spirit Spellbook. 10,000 thoughts become stars. The illusory god attacked as well. He raised his right hand, and a star appeared above his palm. He was like the master of the universe, his palm shattering the heavens and destroying the world. Bang! The illusory god and Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King collided. Thump, 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 thump. Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King was forced to retreat. Seeing this, Lin Feng was shocked. Wasn't the illusory god from the God Spirit Spellbook too powerful? All living beings in the world cannot escape the cycle of reincarnation, the illusory god whispered. He stepped forward and slammed his palm toward Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King again. I hate the word reincarnation the most. I want to completely destroy the God Spirit Spellbook. The Great Tao is flawed, and it will become empty. Great Dark Purgatory's Demon King roared. He leaped up. His body was filled with demonic chi. 3 heads, 6 arms, Fiend God Fist technique. Great Ming Prison's Devil King unleashed a peerless technique. Next to his head, 2 more heads grew out. Next to the arm, 4 more arms grew out. Great Ming Prison's Devil King instantly had 3 heads and 6 arms. What divine ability is this? Lin Feng's face was filled with shock. Instantly transforming into 3 heads and 6 arms was simply too shocking. Moreover, Lin Feng could clearly sense how terrifying the aura emanating from Great Ming Prison's Devil King was. After transforming into his 3-headed, 6-armed form, Great Ming's Infernal King's cultivation base was greatly improved. I am an undying existence. How can a mere God Spirit Spellbook kill me? Come on, let's continue the battle. Do your best to destroy my body. The more damage you take, the more excited I will be. Great Ming Prison's Demon King rushed forward with a ferocious smile. What a madman. Pervert. When Lin Feng saw how crazy Great Ming Prison's Devil King was, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. Was it because he had been enslaved by the reincarnation demon palace for too long that he had become insane? Lin Feng thought about it carefully. That seemed to be a possibility. Great Ming Prison's Devil King rushed towards the illusory god again. Both sides fought fiercely. The illusory god wasn't able to defeat Great Ming Prison's Devil King. Instead, he was suppressed. Gotcha! Gotcha! Lin Feng's expression changed drastically when he saw that the God Spirit Spellbook started cracking. The God Spirit Spellbook could only be used a limited number of times. Every time it was used, its power would decrease. Great Ming Prison's Devil King was too strong. Although the God Spirit Spellbook had created an illusory god, it still couldn't compete with the God Spirit Spellbook. I am willing to sacrifice my life to increase the power of the God Spirit Spellbook. I want to show God how strong he was back then, murmured Lin Feng, stepping forwards. He directly burned 2,000 years of his lifespan. The God Spirit Spellbook absorbed all the energy from the burning of his lifespan. The ancient characters on the God Spirit Spellbook became even more dazzling. Rays of divine light poured into the illusory god's body. After being strengthened, the illusory god's power increased tremendously. Bang! The god in the void raised his right hand and used star severing to slash at Dark Prison's Demon King. Following a violent collision, Great Ming Prison's Devil King was sent flying by the illusory god's palm. Then, the illusory god used a technique called the Great Destruction of Heaven and Earth Slash. Endless killing lights condensed in the air and slashed towards Great Ming Prison's Devil King. Poof! There was a tearing sound. Great Ming Prison's Devil King was severely injured. His body was almost cut in half by the illusory god's attack. Die! Shouted Lin Feng. He held the Black Dragon Sword and used the deity liquid to activate it. The Black Dragon Sword's power was activated. Lin Feng cooperated with the illusory god and attacked Great Ming Prison's Devil King. A mountain and river to suppress all worlds. The illusory god attacked again, condensing a mountain and a river. It descended from the sky and suppressed Great Ming Prison's Devil King. Great Ming Prison's Devil King roared furiously. At that moment, he felt like he was being suppressed. He couldn't move. Die! Shouted Lin Feng. He slashed at Great Ming Prison's Devil King's waist. That was where Great Ming Prison's Devil King had been injured the most. Poof! The power of an activated divine weapon was unimaginable. That attack directly cut Great Ming Prison's Devil King in half. Oh my god! He killed a god. Tianji and the others were astonished. They watched Lin Feng cut Great Ming Prison's Devil King in half. They were astonished. Then, they were overjoyed. If Great Ming Prison's Devil King had really been killed by Lin Feng, then, wouldn't they be able to survive? Thinking about that, they couldn't help but feel lucky. I can't die. I can't die. Ha 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 ha. Nobody can kill me. Death God's hammer. Come here. Great Ming Prison's Devil King's vitality was incredible. He hadn't died even after being cut in half by Lin Feng. His lower body fell to the ground while his upper body flew in the air. He reached out and grabbed the Death God's hammer, which had been lying on the ground, rose up into the air and returned to his hand. Then, Great Ming Prison's Devil King threw the hammer at Lin Feng. Bam! 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 The hammer smashed onto Lin Feng's body and sent Lin Feng flying away. Lin Feng was severely injured. His body was extremely strong, but all his bones were broken. He felt as if his internal organs were burning. He coughed up blood and fell to the ground. He almost fainted on the spot. It was a fatal injury. If Lin Feng's body wasn't so strong, Lin Feng would have been smashed into a pulp. Great Ming Prison's Devil King's body flew towards the illusory god. He swung the Death God's hammer at the illusory god. Bam! 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 Hell's Demon King cackled like a madman. I'm immortal. Who can destroy me? Ha ha ha, all of you die. He swung the hammer of the Grim Reaper and smashed it at the illusory god once more. Chapter 1296. Bang! The illusory god was sent flying by the attack, and the divine light around him dimmed even more. The Demon King of Great Ming Prison could unleash the power of the Death God's hammer. Once the power of a divine weapon was unleashed, the damage it could cause was truly terrifying. When the illusory god was sent flying, the divine book of Great Ming Prison also began to crumble. The divine magic book was also continuously cracking apart. This treasure couldn't last for long. It was likely going to be destroyed. The situation was too dangerous. The Demon King of Great Ming Prison was simply too strong. Be destroyed. The Demon King of Great Ming Prison rushed forward and roared loudly. He swung his hammer and smashed it down again. He once again fought with the illusory god. The illusory god wouldn't be able to last much longer. Lin Feng lay on the ground and watched the battle above him anxiously. If the divine book of Great Ming Prison was destroyed, he would die. He tried to use his immortal body to heal his injuries. Crackling sounds could be heard from his body. All the broken bones in his body were recovering. Soon, Lin Feng's injuries were as good as new. I'm going to kill you, Lin Feng roared. He once again wielded the Black Dragon Sword and attacked the Demon King of Great Ming Prison. The immortal divine body is really powerful. You were almost on the verge of death, yet you were still able to recover. I'm surprised. The Demon King of Great Ming Prison looked at Lin Feng with a sinister gaze and couldn't help but laugh strangely. He swung the Death God's hammer and smashed the illusory god away, then once again smashed towards Lin Feng. This attack was even more terrifying. Lin Feng felt the aura of death. The attack just now had broken all the bones in Lin Feng's body. The power of this attack was at least twice as strong as the previous one. Lin Feng felt that this attack could very likely smash him into a pulp. The current situation was very dangerous. Life and death were only in an instant. Heaven patching technique. At the critical moment when Lin Feng was about to be smashed to death by the Demon King's hammer, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique. Mending the heavenly Tao, he took back a chance to start over from the heavens. The heaven patching technique was unparalleled. Lin Feng's body instantly moved more than 10 centimeters away, dodging the Demon King's fatal attack. Heavenly fire. Soul burning. At the same time, Lin Feng used his ultimate move. The Devil King of Great Ming's great prison was too terrifying. Only death awaited him if he fought with him. Therefore, Lin Feng wanted to find another way to deal with the Demon King of Great Ming Prison's Demon King. He chose was a soul attack. Souls were of the Yin attribute. Lin Feng had two types of celestial fire. Fire, soul fire. The two heavenly fires instantly flew into the mind of Hell's infernal king. Then, they wrapped around his soul and burned it. The Devil King's soul was burned by the heavenly fire, and he screamed in agony. "I'll kill you." Lin Feng swung the black dragon sword at the Demon King's neck. He wanted to cut off the Demon King's head. As long as he could cut off the Demon King's head, the Demon King would not be much of a threat. But when Lin Feng's sword hit the Demon King's neck, there was a clanging sound. At such a close distance, and with a divine weapon, the attack could not break through the Demon King's defense. "It's over," Lin Feng shouted in horror. Bang! The next moment, the Demon King of Great Ming's prison smashed Lin Feng's chest with his hammer and sent him flying away. Crack, crack. His sternum shattered. His entire chest caved in. Lin Feng's face was pale, and he coughed up blood. If the Demon King was not resisting the heavenly fire, the power of his attack would have been greatly reduced. That attack just now was enough to take Lin Feng's life. The illusory god rushed towards Dark Prison's Demon King again. He used Sky-Flipping Demon-Destroying Seal to send Dark Prison's Demon King flying. Dark Prison's Demon King was also hit hard. The illusory god's palm pierced through his chest. The illusory god rushed forward, wanting to kill the Great Ming Prison's Demon King. At this time, Great Dark Prison's Devil King roared madly, "All of you, die!" He swung the hammer of death in his hand. The attack hit the illusory god. This time, the illusory god could not resist the Demon King's attack. Bang! The illusory god exploded. The god spirit spellbook floating in the sky became dim and lightless. It slowly floated down. Ha ha ha, dead. Now it's your turn. The Demon King of the Great Hell threw himself at Lin Feng. The heavenly fire was still burning the Demon King's soul, and his soul was severely injured. However, these injuries were not enough to cause fatal damage to the Demon King in a short time. Thus, Lin Feng was in an extremely dangerous situation. Am I really going to die? Lin Feng's face was pale, but at this point, he really had no way to resist the Demon King. The Demon King pounced over and grabbed Lin Feng's neck. He laughed viciously and shouted, "Kid, are you ready? I'm going to eat you now. Ha ha ha." Great Ming's Demon King opened his mouth and tried to bite Lin Feng. Then, something strange happened. The Demon King's upper body fell to the ground and instantly turned into human skin. Then, the Demon King of Great Ming Purgatory screamed in horror. "No, how can this be? What is it? Could it be?" In his extreme terror, the upper half of the Demon King's body turned into a sheet of human skin. "Ah, it's here again." Lin Feng was so scared that his face turned pale. This was the third time he had seen that unknown existence. It devoured human flesh. Only human skin was left. Kikik. Vaguely, Lin Feng felt that the existence was looking at him and letting out eerie cries. Even a terrifying existence like the Great Ming Purgatory's Devil King had his flesh and blood sucked dry by that unknown creature. It was hard to imagine how powerful that existence was. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt his limbs turn cold. He felt his life slipping away. Is it attacking? Is it going to devour my flesh too? Am I going to turn into human skin too? Lin Feng's hair stood on end. However, he had no power to resist. At this critical moment, the 5 devouring martial spirits in Lin Feng's dantian started operating. They merged into one and turned into a devouring black hole. In the depths of the black hole, an illusory figure walked over step by step. He was like the ruler of all the worlds. Even time couldn't erase his brilliance. The cold aura gradually receded, and Lin Feng felt that he could finally move. His dantian quickly regained its calmness. The unknown existence was scared away by the ancestor of Lin Feng's mother's clan. Chapter 1297. He left, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng took a deep breath. He was pleasantly surprised. His mother's clan was really extraordinary. She had only been an illusion of his ancestor, but she had managed to scare away that unknown, terrifying being. "We're out of danger." The rest of the people cried out in surprise. Some of them cried and some of them laughed. They had thought they were going to die, but they had managed to stay alive. Lin Feng sat up with difficulty. He used his immortal body to heal his injuries. "Godly magic book, thanks to you, we were able to turn the tide. Otherwise, we would have died today," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng put the godly magic book away. The treasure was about to break apart. Lin Feng estimated that he could activate it again. Lin Feng picked up the Death God's hammer and the Death God's armor. The Death God's set was extremely famous. It consisted of the Death God's hammer, the Death God's armor, the Death God's cloak, the Death God's scepter, the Death God's crown, the Death God's bracelet, and the Death God's boots. After collecting the Death God's set, one would be able to unleash the power of a top-notch great imperial weapon. The Death God's hammer in Lin Feng's hand was extremely heavy. It was as heavy as an ancient mountain. Lin Feng found it extremely strenuous. But the Devil King of the underworld prison could wield the heavy Death God's hammer as if it was his own arm. It was obvious how terrifying he was. The Death God's armor and the Death God's hammer were two extremes. The Death God's armor was as light as a cicada's wing and cold to the touch. Lin Feng looked at the Death God's armor in surprise. To him, the Death God's hammer wasn't very useful. Lin Feng found it extremely strenuous to lift it, let alone activate it. But what really excited Lin Feng was the Death God's armor. It was a defensive treasure on the level of a divine tool. Lin Feng had seen its power before. Countless soldiers advanced dauntlessly towards the Devil King of the underworld prison. The Devil King of Great Ming's Purgatory, who was wearing the Death God armor, was unharmed. If those people hadn't sacrificed themselves to break the defense of the Death God's armor, they would have died. In the end, the Death God armor retracted back into the body of Great Ming's Purgatory Demon King. It was almost impossible to kill the Great Underworld Prison's Devil King. The unknown existence probably wouldn't dare to attack the Great Underworld Prison's Devil King rashly. It had chosen to devour the Great Underworld Prison's Devil King's flesh when he was at his weakest. Reaper's armor, refined. Lin Feng channeled his magic power into the Death God armor and successfully refined this treasure. With a thought, the Death God armor immediately wrapped around Lin Feng's entire body. "This defense is too strong." Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. However, a bitter smile soon appeared on his face because the Death God armor was continuously devouring Lin Feng's mana. In order to maintain the Death God armor's protection, one would need a vast amount of magic power. However, Lin Feng clearly didn't have enough magic power to maintain the Death God armor for a long time. "Looks like I have to raise my cultivation as soon as possible. Only then will I be able to wear the Death God armor for a long time. At that time, who will be able to break my defense?" Lin Feng smiled. The others struggled to get up from the ground. When they saw that Lin Feng had obtained the Death God hammer and the Death God armor, they all looked at him with envy. Rumble. All of a sudden, the Samsara Devil Hall in the sky started to shake violently. New slaves. The Reincarnation Devil Palace needs new slaves. A deep and ancient voice came from the Reincarnation Devil Palace. When Lin Feng and the others heard the voice from the Reincarnation Devil Hall, their eyes widened in shock. Now that Great Ming's Devil King is dead, this space can't trap us anymore. Let's hurry up and get out of here. We will definitely be able to break free from the Reincarnation Devil Palace. A cultivator shouted and quickly rushed into the distance. "Where are we going?" someone asked. "Earlier, I accidentally discovered a spatial node. Previously, the entire space was controlled by Great Ming's Devil King, and we couldn't leave through the spatial node. But now that the Devil King is dead, we will definitely be able to leave through the spatial node." That cultivator spoke. Everyone's expression changed. They followed behind that cultivator and sped towards the spatial node. Rumble. Above the 9 heavens, the Reincarnation Devil Palace actually flew up and followed behind them. The Reincarnation Devil Palace is looking for new slaves. If we are captured, we will definitely become the second Devil King of Great Ming and be enslaved by the Reincarnation Devil Palace for all eternity. Many people shouted in fear. The Devil King of Great Ming had been enslaved for too many years. He was like a madman. Everyone was naturally worried that they would be chosen by the Reincarnation Devil Palace and become the next slave. That would be a fate worse than death. Everyone pushed their speed to the limit. Look, the spatial node. 2 hours later, the cultivator in the lead pointed at a mountain peak. There was a twisting whirlpool there. It was the spatial node that connected this space to the swamp outside. "Let's go." Everyone sped towards the spatial node. The Reincarnation Devil Palace needs new slaves. "Don't leave." At this moment, a low voice rang out from the Reincarnation Devil Palace. Swish. Next, a beam of light descended from the sky, shining on Lin Feng. Lin Feng instantly vanished without a trace. "Let's leave this place quickly." Many people turned pale when they saw Lin Feng being teleported away by the beam of light. Numerous figures rushed into the spatial node, leaving this strange space. As for Lin Feng, he only felt a flash of light. In the next instant, he appeared in a spacious great hall. "Is this the Reincarnation Devil Palace? Why am I so unlucky?" Lin Feng's expression turned extremely unsightly. This Reincarnation Devil Palace was too strange. If it wanted to enslave him, wouldn't he have no way to resist? Your bloodline is the strongest. Compared to them, you are more qualified to become the new slave of the Reincarnation Devil Palace. The ethereal voice reverberated in the spacious hall. "Who are you? Come out." Lin Feng roared. "Don't ask me who I am. You only need to know that you will become the new slave of the Reincarnation Devil Palace." That voice was sinister and cold. "Big brother, senior, there are many experts outside. They are more suitable to become the slaves of the Reincarnation Devil Palace. Why don't you release me? I can help you lure those experts over. You can choose whichever one you like to be the slave of the Reincarnation Devil Palace. If you really can't, you can choose all of them. I'm really not suitable." Lin Feng wanted to cry, but no tears came out. "Don't be humble. If I say you are, you are. Now, I will give you 2 choices. First, open your soul. I will imprint an imprint in your soul. From now onwards, your soul will be inextricably linked to the Reincarnation Devil Palace. From now onwards, you will become the slave of the Reincarnation Devil Palace. The second choice is for you to foolishly and fearlessly resist. As for this seat, I will forcefully convert you. At that time, you still won't be able to escape the fate of becoming a slave of the Samsara Devil Hall. However, you will also lose your sense of self and become a walking corpse. Out of these 2 choices, which one do you choose?" Chapter 1298. Is there a third option? Lin Feng asked. The mysterious being's voice paused for a moment before it roared angrily. "No, there are only 2 options. Make your choice quickly and don't make me attack. Otherwise, you'll suffer a terrible fate." Lin Feng said, "I think there really is a third option." The mysterious being flew into a rage and said, "I said no and I said no. How many times do I have to repeat myself? Why is your IQ so low? It's such a simple thing. Yet you want me to repeat it over and over again?" Lin Feng said, "Yes, my IQ is too low. Why don't you let me go, and I'll find you someone with a higher IQ." The mysterious being had the urge to slap Lin Feng to death, but it suppressed its anger and said with a sinister smile, "Even now, you're still so stubborn. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being merciless." When he finished talking, A black fog filled the atmosphere of the palace and moved towards Lin Feng to envelop him. Heaven scorching fire. Lin Feng's expression was cold. He summoned his heavenly fire. Purple earthcore fire. Black sun fire. These two heavenly fires protected Lin Feng. Then, the two heavenly fires burned the world. Sizzle. Sizzle. The strange energy in the hall began to burn. Boy, you've really made me curious. In this era, heavenly fires are hard to find, but you were able to find two of them. Your luck is really good. I'm very curious about your origins. The mysterious being said. Lin Feng said, I'm afraid that if I tell you my origins, you'll be scared to death. Since you know that I'm not ordinary, you should let me go as soon as possible. Otherwise, you're finished. The mysterious existence sneered and said, Who cares where you came from? In this world, I am the ruler. Do you think that just because you have heavenly fire, you can stop me from devouring you? Let me tell you, if that's what you think, then you're gravely mistaken. Now, I'll let you know that no matter how you resist, you won't be able to escape the fate of being devoured by me. As soon as he finished speaking, gusts of cold wind suddenly blew in the huge and spacious hall. When the gloomy and cold wind blew on the blazing heavenly fire, the fire in the sky began to burn brightly. The heavenly fire was blown back into Lin Feng's body. Not good. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. He quickly retreated, wanting to leave the reincarnation palace. However, it was already too late. Crack. It was as if a huge palm had grabbed Lin Feng's neck and lifted Lin Feng up. Lin Feng struggled violently. However, it was difficult for him to break free. How could a weak ant like you possibly struggle free? You should know that even the devil kings of Great Ming and Great Hell are ants in my eyes. The mysterious existence sneered. Lin Feng was overwhelmed with shock. The Great Ming prison's devil king was a god. Yet, he was regarded as an ant by this mysterious existence. How powerful was this mysterious existence? Who are you? Or are you not a human? Are you the weapon spirit of the reincarnation devil palace? Lin Feng asked as he struggled. He wouldn't give up, because Lin Feng was never one to give up easily. You underestimate me too much. The weapon spirit has long been suppressed by me. I am the master of the reincarnation devil palace. As soon as he finished speaking, a pale-faced man appeared in front of Lin Feng. His right hand was grabbing Lin Feng's neck. You. Lin Feng looked at the man with a terrified expression. The master of the reincarnation devil palace? The reincarnation devil palace actually had a master? Then, what kind of existence was this guy who called himself the master of the reincarnation devil palace? Are you very surprised? The man's demonic eyes looked at Lin Feng as he smiled. You, what kind of existence are you? Lin Feng swallowed his saliva and asked. My name is Yu. You can call me Gongzi Yu. His smile was extremely radiant. One couldn't help but admit that Gongzi Yu was truly too handsome. He was so handsome that any man would feel ashamed of their inferiority when standing in front of him. You are a devil? Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked when he saw Gongzi Yu's pointy ears. Some devils were already incomparably similar to humans. But if one really wanted to differentiate between them, it was still possible to find the differences. His ears were one of the differences. That's right. I have the greatest royal bloodline of the devil race. Gongzi Yu stretched out his left hand and scratched Lin Feng's face with his sharp nails. Blood flowed out. He licked Lin Feng's blood and said, I've been asleep for many years. The devil king of the underworld prison was a slave who protected the palace for me. But now, he didn't even manage to protect the palace properly and was killed. What a piece of trash. Now, I need a new slave, and I feel that you are very suitable. Lin Feng continued. Actually, the one who killed the devil king of the underworld prison was an unknown existence. The flesh and blood of the devil king of the underworld prison was devoured by that unknown existence. Only his skin was left. You are so strong. You can definitely defeat that existence. You can take him as your slave and let him protect the palace for you. Isn't that better? Gongzi Yu sneered. But I want you to become the new slave of the reincarnation devil palace. Seeing a heaven-defying genius like you become a slave is truly a pleasure. You pervert, Lin Feng cursed. Pervert? This young master doesn't think so. Gong Ziyu sneered. He stretched out his left hand and tapped Lin Feng's forehead. A strange energy surged into Lin Feng's soul, wanting to forcibly enslave Lin Feng. At this moment, Gong Ziyu's pupils suddenly contracted violently, to the extent that his movements stopped. An uninvited guest has arrived. Gong Ziyu threw Lin Feng to the ground. His expression was grave as he stared at a cultivator who had entered the palace without him noticing. It was a skinny old man who was emitting a dense aura of death. He looked like a malicious spirit who had crawled out from hell. "Leave my palace." Gong Ziyu was a conceited person. He stared coldly at the old man, his voice cold and threatening. "The master of the reincarnation devil palace isn't you," that mysterious old man spoke. "Ever since the supreme ancient era, my ancestor sealed me in a stone and placed me in the reincarnation devil palace. I slept for 300,000 years before I woke up. Very soon, I fell asleep again. I have long fused with the reincarnation devil palace. If the master of the reincarnation devil palace isn't me, who else can it be?" Gong Ziyu coldly spoke. "There are many people who temporarily possess the reincarnation devil palace, but none of them are the masters." The skinny old man's voice was hoarse, as unpleasant to the ears as the screeching of an owl. "Humph. I really want to see what qualifications you have to say such words to me." Gong Ziyu's voice was emotionless as he blasted out a palm strike towards the skinny old man. In that instant, the entire world seemed to freeze. Time seemed to be flowing backwards. "This secret art of mine is called the Grand Reincarnation Art. It's a supreme secret art I comprehended in the Reincarnation Devil Palace. The first part of the Grand Reincarnation art allows you to live through your entire life in an instant, turning you rotten." Bang! When Gong Ziyu's palm strike landed on the old man, a scene that caused Lin Feng to be dumbstruck appeared. The old man grew older and his body became more and more crooked. Very soon, he turned into a skeleton. This grand reincarnation art was simply too terrifying. It instantly stripped the old man of his lifespan, turning him into a skeleton. He died instantly. Chapter 1299. Time passes in a flash, burying the gods for billions of years. After using time rushed to bury the mysterious old man, Gong Ziyu seemed very pleased with himself. As expected of the great reincarnation technique, it's rumored to be ranked fourth among the 3,000 great Das. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. Great fate technique, great fate technique, great karma technique, great fate technique, great creation technique. These were the legendary 5 heaven-defying 3,000 great Das. Among the 3,000 great Das, there were 3,000 offensive great Das, 3,000 defensive great Das, and 3,000 auxiliary great Das. The top 10 great Das were known as the supreme great Das. The top 5 great Das were the heaven-defying great Das. Fate was fleeting. Destiny was mysterious and unfathomable. Karma ran through the ages. Reincarnation passed through life and death. Creation changed one's life. These 5 great Das were each more heaven-defying than the last. They were the most terrifying and mysterious great Das in the world. Gong Ziyu had used the first part of the great reincarnation technique, time rush. It was no wonder that this person could enslave a god-level existence like the great Ming prison's demon king. He was truly too terrifying. However, it was clear that the mysterious old man had been killed by Gong Ziyu. This was not something that Lin Feng wanted to see. Lin Feng was still hoping that the old man would be able to defeat Gong Ziyu and then escape. However, things did not go as he wished. Hee hee hee. Gong Ziyu let out 2 strange laughs. He turned to look at Lin Feng, who had an uncertain expression on his face, and said, "Did you think that you had a chance to escape just now? Do you feel despair now?" Lin Feng was naturally extremely depressed. However, Lin Feng was not someone who would bow his head so easily. Even if he was really enslaved by Gong Ziyu, Lin Feng would still fiercely curse Gong Ziyu. Although cursing would not hurt Gong Ziyu, at least Lin Feng would feel better. He was about to curse out loud. At this moment, Lin Feng's eyes widened. The reason for that was because he discovered that the old man that had turned into a skeleton was actually still alive. Crack, Crack. The skeleton's body twitched a few times in a stiff manner. Eh, you didn't die after being hit by my immemorial haste? Now, I'll send you to the afterlife. Gongziyu sneered as he stepped forward and slammed his palm towards the old man. Whoosh! The old man vanished without a trace. Gongziyu's attack missed. At the next moment, the old man appeared more than 20 meters away. The first part of the Great Reincarnation technique is incredible. You must have mastered it at the very top of the Great Reincarnation technique, otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to control time. Flesh and blood began to grow out of the old man's skeleton, and he quickly recovered to his original state. Gongziyu frowned and said, "What a powerful old man. Even my ancient haste wasn't able to kill you. You buried my entire life, but I can also go against the heavens and seize life back. I can take back the life you buried," the old man said. Lin Feng's heart trembled. It seemed that this mysterious old man was not simple. This old man doesn't seem like someone from the land of seal demons. He should be a cultivator from the Tianwu continent, right? The Tianwu continent actually has such a powerful hidden expert. Lin Feng thought to himself. At the same time, he was also extremely shocked. Of course, it was also possible that the old man was not a cultivator from the Tianwu continent. Perhaps he was an expert who had traveled through the starfield? It was highly possible that he had passed through the Tianwu continent and descended to explore its mysteries. Gongziyu said coldly, "Why are you here? I heard that you are the son of the celestial demon emperor. Is that true?" The old man asked. "That's right. Since you know my identity, you should know how powerful my father is. You shouldn't provoke me." Gongziyu clasped his hands behind his back proudly. The old man sneered, "Everyone knows that you are invincible, but who has ever heard of Gongziyu? You have already been buried here by time. You are destined to be abandoned." "My father told me to cultivate here," said Gongziyu coldly. "Ha ha ha ha. You were exiled, so there are many things you don't know. You have been kept in the dark for too many years. But now, you don't need to know those secrets anymore. So, I will kill you and use your blood essence and essence to concoct a cauldron of pills." As soon as he finished speaking, the mysterious elder walked towards Gongziyu. Gongziyu's face was distorted with anger. He was the son of the celestial demon emperor. He had the most powerful bloodline, and now someone dared to use his blood essence and essence to concoct pills? To Gongziyu, it was a great humiliation. Shouted Gongziyu icily. He jumped forwards and used the 10,000 demon reincarnation fists, attacking the old man. "It seems like you're not bad. Not only have you understood the first part of the Great Reincarnation technique, but you've also understood the 10,000 demon reincarnation fists. But it's useless. You're too young," said the old man indifferently. He looked like an old ghost who had just crawled out of hell. He raised his right hand and threw a punch at Gongziyu. "The old are afraid of the young. You're already old. It's the age of the young." Gongziyu looked indifferent. The old man laughed strangely. "Old ginger is spicier. You're too young." Bang! The two of them collided. Gongziyu's emperor technique was destroyed by the old man. The strength of this mysterious old man was too terrifying. His cultivation could be described as unfathomable. Gongziyu was sent flying a few hundred meters away. He slammed into a huge pillar and coughed violently. As expected of the celestial demon emperor's son. "Back when you were sealed, you had only cultivated for 100 years, right? You're so strong. How incredible. But no matter how incredible you are, it's time for you to reach the end of your life." As soon as the old man finished speaking, he disappeared and reappeared in front of Gongziyu. His right hand was like a sword as he slashed at Gongziyu. Pooh! Gongziyu was injured by the old man. He was almost cut in half at the waist. Heavens! That old man is so terrifying. What kind of cultivation level is he? Lin Feng was astonished. "Old bastard, you win." Gongziyu shouted angrily and turned around to flee. The celestial demon clan is a scourge. The son of the celestial demon emperor can't be allowed to live. Killing you to refine medicine will not only benefit me, but I can also get rid of a scourge. It's killing two birds with one stone. The old man stepped forward and caught up with Gongziyu. He punched Gongziyu and sent him flying. Gongziyu couldn't get rid of the old man, let alone escape. You want to kill me? Dream on. Celestial Demon Body Disintegration Technique. Gongziyu let out a roar as his body exploded, turning into countless streams of black gas that penetrated the void and disappeared without a trace. He escaped so quickly. The old man frowned. He turned around and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's hair stood on end. He didn't know if the old man would kidnap Gongziyu because he hadn't caught Gongziyu. After all, in terms of bloodline, Gongziyu's bloodline couldn't compare to his. Chapter 1300. Lin Feng felt a chill down his spine. Right now, he didn't dare to say anything for fear that he might suffer a calamity here. The mysterious old man's deep eyes stared at Lin Feng. Eventually, he turned and left. Who? Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. The mysterious old man didn't act against him. This caused Lin Feng to feel incomparably fortunate, just when Lin Feng was about to leave. However, when he saw this majestic hall, his heart couldn't help but tremble. Since Gongziyu had already fled, why didn't he refine this hall? If he could refine it, he might be able to comprehend the first part of the grand art of reincarnation in the future. If he could really comprehend it, how terrifying would that be? After all, the grand art of reincarnation was one of the 5 heaven-defying innate techniques. Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the hall. He circulated his energy, wanting to refine the samsara devil hall. However, Lin Feng discovered that he had no way to refine it. This samsara devil hall was extremely bizarre. If ordinary cultivators wanted to refine it, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. I can't refine it. Could it be that this hall has already been refined by Gongziyu? Lin Feng rubbed his chin. He was contemplating the reason why he couldn't refine the samsara devil hall. Earlier, that old man said that Gongziyu isn't the master of the samsara devil hall. This means that Gongziyu hasn't truly refined the samsara devil hall. This hall doesn't belong to Gongziyu. Hence, my failure to refine the samsara devil hall should have nothing to do with Gongziyu. Could that old man be saying that the samsara devil hall is waiting for its true master? Since I'm not the one it is waiting for, I'm destined to fail? Lin Feng couldn't help but to contemplate. He felt that there was a high possibility of this. However, Lin Feng wasn't willing to accept this. The samsara devil hall itself was a supreme treasure. In addition, it was imprinted with a heaven-defying grand Tao, like the grand art of reincarnation. Right now, Lin Feng was sitting on a mountain of treasures. Yet, he wanted to return empty-handed. Lin Feng didn't want to give up. I don't believe that I can't refine you. Devil Pearl, come out. Lin Feng summoned his hand. Lin Feng was extremely careful when dealing with it. Even though Lin Feng didn't want to come into contact with the Demon Pearl, it was the perfect time to use it because the inside of the Demon Pearl was an empty space. Lin Feng wanted to use the Demon Pearl to take the Reincarnation Demon Palace. Of course, Lin Feng didn't know if he would succeed. If he succeeded, it would naturally be a happy ending. If he failed, Lin Feng could only admit that he wasn't fated to be with the Reincarnation Devil Hall. Under Lin Feng's control, the Demon Pearl released a large amount of black qi. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. This time, he could finally activate the Devil Pearl successfully. The Devil Pearl was too strange. Most of the time, it wasn't under Lin Feng's control. As its master, it wasn't easy for Lin Feng to control it. Fortunately, Lin Feng wasn't disappointed this time. At this moment, Lin Feng was standing above the Samsara Devil Hall. The black qi released by the Devil Pearl enveloped the Samsara Devil Hall. Rumbling sounds rang out as the Samsara Devil Hall trembled. A suction force gushed out from the Devil Pearl as the Samsara Devil Hall flew towards the Devil Pearl. Not bad. Normally, I wouldn't be able to activate you, and I didn't expect you to be of much help to me. But today, you've helped me greatly. Seeing that the Devil Pearl was about to devour the Samsara Devil Hall, Lin Feng was extremely excited. The Samsara Devil Hall started to shrink. Not long after, it shrank from 10 miles to the size of an ordinary palace. Moreover, it was still shrinking. A few minutes later, the hall shrunk to the size of a palm. The Devil Pearl had completely suppressed the Samsara Devil Hall. The Samsara Devil Hall continued to shrink and was about to be devoured by the Devil Pearl. At this moment, the Samsara Devil Hall started to struggle. However, it wasn't easy for it to break free from the Devil Pearl. The Devil Pearl seemed to have a strong desire to devour the Samsara Devil Hall. Only now did Lin Feng know that the Devil Pearl wanted him to devour the Samsara Devil Hall. It wasn't helping him at all. If the Samsara Devil Hall was devoured by the Devil Pearl, would it become a supplement for the Devil Pearl? This was naturally very possible. Lin Feng was also very worried about this. It was just that he couldn't interfere in the battle between the Devil Pearl and the Samsara Devil Hall. In the end, the Samsara Devil Hall still managed to break free from the Devil Pearl. It transformed into a beam of light and rushed into Lin Feng's sea of consciousness to hide. The Devil Pearl emitted a terrifying aura. The Devil Pearl seemed to be extremely unwilling to give up. It also wanted to rush into Lin Feng's sea of consciousness to continue devouring the Samsara Devil Hall. Lin Feng jumped in fright. If these two terrifying existences were to stir up a storm in his sea of consciousness, his soul might be destroyed. If he wasn't careful, his soul could be destroyed. If that happened, wouldn't he die without a burial place? As he thought of this, Lin Feng hurriedly said, "Devil Pearl, the Samsara Devil Hall has already chosen me. If you still want to live peacefully with me, you should choose to give up now." The Devil Pearl had a spirit. When it heard Lin Feng's threatening words, it stopped. For a long time, the Devil Pearl didn't move. It seemed to be pondering over Lin Feng's words. It also seemed to be weighing the pros and cons. In the end, the Devil Pearl chose to give up. It returned to Lin Feng's sea of consciousness and went silent. This made Lin Feng heave a sigh of relief. Haha, the Samsara Devil Hall is mine. This is great. Following which, a look of joy appeared on Lin Feng's face. I can't stay here for long. I should leave quickly. Lin Feng shot up and flew towards the spatial node. At this time, a cold wind suddenly howled in this space. Densely packed figures appeared. Corpse Demon Army, Soul Catcher Army, Bone Creature Army, Bird Army, Beast Army. Wait. There were simply too many. Roar. A loud dragon's roar resounded as 9 dragon knights rushed over from afar. Lin Feng also saw Uncle Wu Yong and King Yanluo. The countless creatures in front of him were all souls, not flesh. Their bodies had long been completely destroyed in the battle with the Great Ming Prison's Demon King. I don't have the ability to bring you back to life, Lin Feng said. A dragon knight said, the price to come back to life is heavy. The Great Ming Prison's Demon King can bring us back to life, but our souls have to be enslaved by him. We yearn for freedom, and today, we have finally obtained it. Will your souls dissipate just like that? Lin Feng asked. No. We have already turned into existences similar to ghost cultivators. We will leave this place and go to a place we must go. Another dragon knight said, Woo woo woo. The sound of a bugle horn came from the depths of space. We're leaving. Thank you. If not for you, the Great Ming Prison's Demon King would not have died, and we would not have obtained our freedom. Countless creatures thanked Lin Feng. Lin Feng secretly felt ashamed. Although he had contributed a lot to the death of the Great Ming Prison's Demon King, the one who had killed the Great Ming Prison's Demon King was that unknown and terrifying existence, not him. Everyone was thanking him like this, causing Lin Feng to feel ashamed. Lin Feng, I hope that we will meet again. Lin Feng's heart was filled with tears. King Yanluo's intermittent voice sounded. We will definitely meet again, Lin Feng said. Young hero Lin, if you see Donger, I hope you can help me tell him to live well. Wu Yong said. I will. Lin Feng nodded. Roar. A dragon's roar reverberated through the clouds as the army rushed into the depths of space. Lin Feng chased after them. He saw a scene that shocked and moved him. The void cracked open, and endless ghost soldiers rushed out. The 9 dragon knights led the souls of countless creatures in the space into the army of ghost soldiers, becoming part of the army of ghost soldiers. The Een soldiers passed through. The creatures retreated. Wherever the army of Een soldiers passed, not even a blade of grass remained. In the end, the army of Een soldiers rushed into the depths of space and disappeared. Chapter 1301. How could it be the Een soldiers? Did they turn into soldiers? Did they charge into the nine heavens and fight with an unknown existence? Or did they enter the netherworld, the kingdom of the dead? Seeing the nine-headed dragon knight leading the souls into the army of soldiers, Lin Feng was shocked. It wasn't the first time he saw soldiers borrowing the path. He had seen it before. When he was with Sikong Jiayue in the ancient battlefield of gods and demons, he had seen soldiers borrowing the path. Soldiers were ghost soldiers of the netherworld and shouldn't appear in the world of the living. Once they did, all living beings would have to avoid them. No living being could resist the aura of death of the soldiers. Lin Feng finally left this strange space and came to the outside world. He took a deep breath. He was lucky to be able to come out alive, and he had obtained so many benefits. The swamp was still very dangerous. In the distance, cultivators were fighting with swamp crocodiles, and cultivators were constantly being killed. Lin Feng turned and left. He wasn't a savior. He wouldn't rush to help others when they were in danger. Everyone had the right to decide their own life. Those people who chose to take the risk to enter the land of sealed demons must have thought that they might die here. This was their choice in life. After Lin Feng left the swamp, he went deeper into the swamp. Finally, he came to a mountain range. There were extremely terrifying restrictions here, and those restrictions made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. Restrictions that can kill gods. Lin Feng frowned. He couldn't break the restrictions here. Is there no way to go deeper? Lin Feng muttered to himself. He chose a direction and flew. This mountain range was extremely large and stretched for hundreds of miles. Not long after, Lin Feng saw a group of cultivators. If we want to go there, we have to go through that valley. Now, the experts of the major forces have rushed over and are going to work together to kill the beast in the valley. Let's go and take a look. If we can kill that terrifying existence, we might be able to get some benefits. The group of cultivators quickly flew into the distance. When Lin Feng heard their discussion, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He followed behind a group of cultivators. Finally, they arrived in front of a huge valley. There were no restrictions in this valley, so they could pass through. However, it was not an easy task to get there because there was an extremely terrifying ferocious beast entrenched in the valley. It was a ferocious beast called Li. Had a body like a snake, a head like a lion, a nose like a cow, and ears like a tiger. She had sharp claws and wings. In myths and legends, Li was an abnormally terrifying creature that fed on gods and demons. Of course, many myths and legends could not be taken seriously. However, there was one thing that was hard to deny. That was the terrifying strength of a fierce beast like Li. In ancient times, Li was an existence that could compete with Qiongqi, Taowu, and other divine beasts. From this, one could see how tyrannical this ferocious beast was. Perhaps his bloodline had already deteriorated, but it was still not to be underestimated. I heard that 2 Rebirth Realm experts wanted to go over, but they were seriously injured by Li and almost died. I heard about it too. It seems like they are experts from Sun Moon Sect and Water Moon Grotto, right? That's right. The 2 experts were lucky enough to escape, but they brought back important news. There is a ferocious beast Li in the depths of the valley, but to be honest, I've only seen descriptions of Li in the classic of mountains and seas. I've never seen a real Li. Li guards the valley and doesn't let anyone in. After the valley, it leads to the depths of the demon sealing land. Maybe the 9 demon painting isn't the only great imperial weapon there. Maybe there are even more amazing treasures. Many people were discussing, looking forward to entering the valley. Lin Feng stood in the distance and watched. There were many cultivators and experts from many top forces. Lin Feng even saw Morong Tianshan. He was keeping a low profile, so it was better to keep a low profile. If Morong Tianshan saw him, it would not be a good thing. Morong Tianshan was known as the strongest cultivator below the god layer. Of course, he was unimaginably terrifying. If Morong Tianshan saw him, he would not let him go. Lin Feng knew that very well. Besides, the Great Qin Empire, the Yin-Yang sect, the Geomaster branch, and other top forces had also sent experts. These top forces had irreconcilable grievances with Lin Feng. Lin Feng chose to keep a low profile, which was the best way to do things. More and more cultivators arrived. There were at least 10,000 cultivators gathered outside the valley. They had taken the risk to enter the demon-sealing land and had gone through all kinds of dangers to reach the valley. They were definitely experts. Everyone, Lee is blocking the way. This kind of ferocious beast is too terrifying. If a small group of cultivators fought against it, even if they could kill it, they would suffer great losses. Let's work together and lure Lee out. Then, we'll kill Lee outside, said an old man. An old man said, "Okay, we agree." Many cultivators agreed with this plan. Attacking Lee as a group was naturally the best way. Moreover, it would minimize the number of deaths. Who's going to lure Lee out? Someone asked. Lee was too terrifying. If they entered the valley and lured Lee out, it would be extremely dangerous. Of course, no one was willing to do that. The old man said, "Since I'm the one who suggested attacking Lee, I'll go into the valley and lure Lee out. Sixth Master Jiang is righteous. I admire you." Many people cupped their fists at the old man. Lin Feng asked around and found out that the old man was the sixth elder of the Jiang family. His name was Jiang Xingzuan. He had a high position in the Jiang family and was the hall master of the Jiang family's Hall of Punishment. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. So this person was Jiang Xingzuan. He had heard Jiang Yudi mention this person before. This person was the younger brother of Jiang Yudi's grandfather. He was related to Jiang Yudi by blood. Whoosh! Jiang Xingzuan didn't stop and quickly flew into the valley. The cultivators outside hid in the forest and looked at the valley nervously. They didn't know if Jiang Xingzuan could lure Lee out. Roar! Soon, an angry roar came from the valley. Jiang Xingzuan had angered Lee. Not long after, a ferocious aura came from the depths of the valley. Lee's aura was completely released. That aura was suffocating. It was too terrifying. "Look, he's out." Someone pointed in the direction of the valley, and Jiang Xingzuan quickly rushed out. However, Jiang Xingzuan looked very miserable. His body was covered in blood, and there was a deep wound on his back. His entire body was covered in blood. Jiang Xingzuan was a rebirth realm cultivator. How long had he been in the valley, and he had already suffered such a terrifying injury? Wasn't that ferocious beast, Lee, too terrifying? A loud rumbling sound came out. Everyone looked over and saw a huge monster soaring into the sky. That terrifying existence was over 10,000 meters long. Its huge body was like a mountain ridge that rose and fell in the sky. Its ferocious aura was monstrous. Many cultivators felt the aura of Lee and were so scared that their faces turned pale. Their bodies went limp and fell to the ground, trembling. Chapter 1302. Xiong Sholi was too powerful. No wonder so many cultivators were scared to death. Now, Xiong Sholi was hovering in the air, its cold eyes looking down from time to time, overflowing with killing intent. What are you waiting for? There are so many of us. There's no need to be afraid. Let's go and kill this beast. A cultivator shouted. Then, he soared into the sky and charged towards ferocious beastly, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When someone attacked, there would be others who followed. Many experts rushed towards Xiong Sholi. There are so many top experts from so many factions. We don't have to be afraid. A cultivator shouted loudly. Those cultivators who were originally trembling in fear recovered a lot after a short period of fear. Boom! Then, a tyrannical aura spread out. Countless cultivators attacked. All kinds of magic treasures and divine abilities were sent towards Xiong Sholi. Xiong Sholi let out a scornful roar and flapped its huge wings. Suddenly, a strong wind blew. A terrifying storm swept across the land. All the magic treasures and divine abilities were blocked by the storm. Unable to get close to Xiong Sholi had to admit that Xiong Sholi was too strong and terrifying. So many cultivators were still blocked by it. No wonder even Rebirth Realm cultivators were no match for Xiong Sholi. Whoosh! Xiong Sholi opened its bloody mouth and blew. Suddenly, countless wind blades shot out in all directions. Those wind blades formed a storm, just like a storm of swords, slashing towards the densely packed cultivators. Retreat quickly, many cultivators shouted. There were also many who took out their defensive magic treasures to block. However, Xiong Sholi's attack was too terrifying. The storm that came out of its bloody mouth was too powerful. In an instant, many cultivators were caught in the storm. Then, the cultivators who were caught in the storm were all torn apart by the wind blades and swallowed by Xiong Sholi. Even if Xiong Sholi isn't a god, it should be at least a demigod, right? Lin Feng was shocked. Xiong Sholi was an extremely ferocious creature. Therefore, after Xiong Sholi swallowed a large number of cultivators, it became wild and wanted to devour more cultivators. For a powerful beast like Xiong Sholi, the cultivators who surrounded it were nothing but food. Humph! After a cold humph, Murong Tianxian took a step forward and moved towards Xiong Sholi. Ferocious Beastly raised its huge claw and slapped it towards Heavenly God Murong. A loud rumbling sound was heard. The huge claw was like a moving mountain ridge in midair. It suddenly pressed down. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The void was about to collapse. Bang! Murong Tianxian made his move. His fist swept out and collided with Xiong Sholi's huge claw. This was a body that was completely incomparable. Now that they had collided, Heavenly God Murong did not suffer any losses. Murong Tianxian was too powerful. He blocked Xiong Sholi's attack. As expected of the number one expert below the deities, even Li's attack was blocked. Heavenly God Murong is too terrifying. Many people were incomparably shocked when they saw Murong Tianxian fighting against Xiong Sholi. Quick, let's kill Vicious Beastly, a cultivator shouted. Although Heavenly God Murong was strong, it was still difficult for him to kill Savage Beastly. After all, blocking Savage Beastly's attack and killing Savage Beastly were two completely different concepts. After Murong Tianxian made his move, the other Rebirth Realm cultivators also made their move. They fought against Savage Beastly. There were more than 20 Rebirth Realm cultivators. They were all the strongest cultivators on the Tianwu continent. More than 20 Rebirth Realm cultivators joined forces to restrain Savage Beastly kill. The crowd shouted. Countless figures soared into the sky and charged towards Savage Beastly. Savage Beastly's huge tail swept over. Bang, bang, bang. Countless cultivators were sent flying by Savage Beastly's tail. In the end, they died tragically. However, Savage Beastly was still heavily injured under the joint attack of over 10,000 cultivators. Savage Beastly's scales fell off, and blood immediately flowed out. Focus on Savage Beastly's injuries. A cultivator shouted. He had found Savage Beastly's weakness. Savage Beastly's scales had an extremely strong defensive power. It was not easy to break them. However, the crowd had already destroyed part of Savage Beastly's scales. Savage Beastly's weakness was the areas that were not protected by its scales. Therefore, the crowd of cultivators focused their attacks on the areas that were not protected by its scales. Savage Beastly was heavily injured. Its flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The huge Savage Beast let out a painful roar. More than 20 Rebirth Realm cultivators took the opportunity to launch their most fatal attacks on Savage Beastly. An old man wielded a sword and split Savage Beastly's head open. Savage Beastly was heavily injured. It went completely berserk and attacked the cultivators around it. Many cultivators who were slow to dodge were killed by Savage Beastly. Savage Beastly's huge body turned around and wanted to charge into the valley. That was its nest. As long as it hid there, it would have a way to resolve the crisis. However, the cultivators were not willing to give Savage Beastly this chance. More than 10,000 cultivators attacked Savage Beastly. Bang! In the end, Savage Beastly's head exploded. Its huge headless corpse fell to the ground. Savage Beastly's source was floating in the void. It was at least the source of a demigod. Countless cultivators were going crazy over it. However, ordinary cultivators did not dare to snatch it. It was a treasure that belonged to a Rebirth Realm cultivator. The rest of the cultivators pounced on Savage Beastly's corpse. They could snatch its flesh and blood. Boom! A huge battle broke out in the sky. In order to snatch more of the source, more than 20 Rebirth Realm cultivators fought and snatched the source floating in the sky. At this moment, the void trembled. Lin Feng appeared above Savage Beastly's source. The void traversal was a divine ability. It allowed him to hide from everyone. Even the Rebirth Realm cultivators did not notice him. Devour! Lin Feng took out the heaven-devouring jar. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A strong suction force surged out from the heaven-devouring jar and began to devour Savage Beast Lee's source. "You're courting death." The Rebirth Realm experts who were engaged in battle roared out in anger. Someone actually dared to snatch Savage Beast Lee's source? Wasn't this provoking the gods? In the eyes of these experts, Lin Feng's action was a slap to their faces. Haha, the Tao of Heaven takes from what is in excess to make up for what is in deficiency. The Tao of Man takes from what is in deficiency to make up for what is in excess. This opportunity of heaven and earth can be obtained by anyone, not just people like you. Lin Feng laughed out loud. After devouring Savage Beast Lee's source, he turned around and rushed into the depths of the valley. Running away after snatching something, how exciting! Chapter 1303. Brat, where do you think you're going? Some strong cultivators of the rebirth level threw themselves at Lin Feng. Because they had been fighting with each other, they had only managed to collect a small portion of the source energy. Most of it had been taken by Lin Feng. How could they let Lin Feng go so easily? But Lin Feng was too fast. Before those strong cultivators could surround him, he was already out of their encirclement. Die! A Rebirth Realm cultivator roared and sent a palm strike at Lin Feng. Get lost! Lin Feng sneered and sent the Rebirth Realm expert flying with a punch. Wah! The Rebirth Realm expert couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was as pale as paper. He was overwhelmed with shock. The person who had attacked him was a second Rebirth Realm expert, but he hadn't even been able to withstand a single blow from Lin Feng. Wasn't this young man too terrifying? Was he really just a young man in his 20s? By now, Lin Feng had already rushed into the valley. He passed through the valley like a bolt of lightning and entered the depths of the demon sealing grounds. Haha, I wonder if I'll be able to increase my cultivation if I find a place to refine Dire Beast Lee's source energy? Lin Feng had an expectant look on his face. Dire Beast Lee's source energy was enormous and extremely powerful. At the very least, it was equivalent to a demigod's source energy. The increase in cultivation would naturally be very significant. Lin Feng found a cave and entered seclusion. He began to refine Dire Beast Lee's source energy. A day later, a powerful aura was emitted from the cave. Lin Feng's cultivation had increased tremendously. From the first layer of life and death realm, he had risen 2 levels, reaching the 3rd layer of life and death realm. This made Lin Feng very happy. Lin Feng had thought that increasing by 1 level was already pretty good. He hadn't expected to break through by 2 levels in a row. After breaking through, Lin Feng left the cave and continued walking deeper into the demon sealing grounds. 3 days later, Lin Feng arrived at the outskirts of a fiery world. Deep inside was a sea of flames. The flames burned fiercely. Some cultivators wandered around, pointing at the world of flames as they discussed. Rumor has it that this fiery world isn't simple at all. It hides a shocking secret. What secret? It's said that the fiery world in the land of sealed demons is related to the ancient dragonesque elephant. The discussion of several cultivators attracted Lin Feng's attention. He pricked up his ears. I would like to hear the details. Several cultivators said. The knowledgeable cultivator said, the land of sealed demons was involved in many battles between powerhouses. Even the immemorial dragonesque elephant was involved. It's said that the immemorial dragonesque elephant killed a flame giant demon in the land of sealed demons. After the flame giant demon died, it turned into an endless sea of fire. It's said that sooner or later, it will be reborn in the flames. That's not right, right? The primordial dragonesque elephant should have died before the devil sealing land was formed, right? Someone muttered. The primordial dragonesque elephant race is very mysterious. Although they rarely appear, as far as I know, there is more than one primordial dragonesque elephant. The cultivator said, the strongest primordial dragonesque elephant is called Dragonesque Elephant Sovereign. He has a son who inherited his bloodline. Another cultivator said, are you saying that the primordial dragonesque elephant that appeared here might be Dragonesque Elephant Sovereign's son? Yes. The cultivator nodded. What happened after the primordial dragonesque elephant killed the flame giant demon? Someone else asked. Rumor has it that the primordial dragonesque elephant was severely injured. There are even rumors that it died there. Therefore, people often take risks and enter the fiery world to look for its corpse. The primordial dragonesque elephant is dragonesque elephant sovereign's son, and dragonesque elephant sovereign created the number 1 technique of the Archean era, the primordial dragonesque elephant skill. The primordial dragonesque elephant must have obtained the cultivation method of the Archean dragonesque elephant skill from his father, dragonesque elephant sovereign. That primordial dragonesque elephant skill must have obtained the cultivation method of the Archean dragonesque elephant skill from his father, dragonesque elephant. That cultivator said, "Has anyone obtained the Archean dragonesque elephant skill?" Another cultivator asked. "We don't know," said the cultivator who knew the answer, shaking his head. In the distance, a group of people arrived, causing quite a commotion. Huang Fujing, Xie Long. Why are they together? Many people were puzzled and recognized the two cultivators who were leading the group. Huang Fujing was known as the second genius of the Yuhua immortal dynasty after Huang Fu Qingtian. Xie Long was a peak-level genius of the three-headed cobra race. One was a human, while the other was a beast. It was no wonder that people were puzzled when the two of them came together. I heard that the two of them have been friends for a long time. They must have met in the demon ceiling land, so they decided to team up. A cultivator who knew the inside story said. Lin Feng also looked at Huang Fujing and Xie Long. He didn't know Huang Fujing, but he knew Xie Long. However, Lin Feng had used the transformation technique to change his appearance, so Xie Long didn't recognize him. There's a holy spirit in the fire, and there's the blood of a dracophant. Brother Huang Fu, have you heard of this before? Xie Long smiled. Huang Fujing shook his head slightly and said, I've never heard of it. What do you mean? It means that a holy spirit will be born in the flame world. As for whether the holy spirit here is related to the flame demon, we don't know. As for the blood of a dracophant, it means that there's the blood of an immemorial dracophant in the deepest part of the flame world. Xie Long sighed. Gasp. Huang Fujing took a deep breath. He naturally knew what the essence blood of an immemorial dragonesque mammoth represented. Brother Xie, are you planning to explore this place? However, this flame world is too dangerous. If we enter, we'll most likely die. Huang Fujing frowned. Xie Long smiled and said, Look, there are about 100 cultivators scattered around. Let's call them over and ask them to help us explore the flame world. What do you think? Huang Fujing's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, Good idea. Go and call all the people around here. Xie Long ordered. Huang Fujing waved his hand and said, All of you, come with us. Yes, young master. Immediately, the strong cultivators from the three-headed Cobra clan and the Yuhua immortal dynasty dispersed. Our young master is calling for you. Come with us. The strong cultivators from the two groups arrived in front of the cultivators scattered around the flame world and spoke in an unquestionable tone. What's the matter? Someone asked cautiously. You'll know when you get there. The guards looked indifferent. Many people wanted to run away, but they didn't dare act rashly. They could only follow the guards and arrive in front of Xie Long and Huang Fujing. Boy, you come here too, said a guard while pointing at Lin Feng in an arrogant manner. Chapter 1304. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he followed the guard towards the evil dragon and Huang Fujing. He wanted to see what the evil dragon and Huang Fujing wanted to do. Very quickly, Lin Feng arrived beside the evil dragon and Huang Fujing. There were already over 100 people gathered here. The surrounding cultivators had all been called over by the evil dragon and Huang Fujing's subordinates. A cultivator asked carefully, May I know why the two young masters have called us here? The evil dragon smiled and said, There is indeed something that I need your help with. Please tell us, young master. If we can do it, we will definitely do our best, the cultivator said. Very good. This young master likes people who know what's good for them. The evil dragon smiled and pointed towards the depths. Do you see this world of flames? I see it. Many people nodded. I want you to help us explore the world of flames. Once you're done, come back and report to this young master. Then, you can leave, the evil dragon said. Many people's expressions changed when they heard this. The world of flames was extremely dangerous. Entering it was almost certain death. When these cultivators passed by this place, they only wandered around the periphery to observe. Wasn't asking them to take the risk to enter the world of flames? Evil young master, this world of flames is too dangerous. I'm afraid we don't have the ability to enter it. A cultivator said. As soon as the cultivator finished speaking, the evil dragon attacked. A sword chi slashed out and chopped off the cultivator's head. The headless corpse fell to the ground. Hurry up and run. More than 10 cultivators cried out in fear, and all of them fled into the distance. Where do you think you're going? Huang Fujing sneered and threw a punch at the person who was trying to escape through the void. Bang, bang, bang. The cultivators who were running away all exploded and died on the spot. How can you disregard human life like that? A middle-aged cultivator said with a gloomy face. Die. The evil dragon stepped forward and didn't say anything. It punched at the middle-aged cultivator. Bang. The middle-aged cultivator was no match for the evil dragon and was instantly killed. The evil dragon and Huang Fujing were too ruthless. They killed people without batting an eyelid. Many people's faces were as pale as paper, clearly intimidated by the methods of these two people. Let me ask you, is there anyone else who wants to disobey our orders? The evil demonic dragon asked with an indifferent expression. Yuhua Immortal Dynasty, Three-Headed Cobra Clan. How dare you? Even if you're from the Supreme Ancient Era, you can't treat human lives like grass, right? Lin Feng said in a deep voice. There's actually someone who isn't afraid of death. Capture him. I want to see if he's just putting on an act or if he really isn't afraid of death. The evil dragon waved its hand. Yes, immediately, 2 Three-Headed Cobra Clan experts responded, then turned around and charged toward Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he looked at the 2 people who were charging towards him. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curve into a cold arc boom. Lin Feng took a step forward. Asterisk bang. Asterisk the 2 Three-Headed Cobra Clan experts who were charging towards him exploded into pieces. Seeing Lin Feng's tyrannical strength, the cultivators who were being held hostage were overjoyed. As for the evil dragon and Huang Fujing, their expressions suddenly sank. Brat, you dare to kill people from the Three-Headed Cobra Clan? You're courting death. The evil dragon's eyes flashed with dense killing intent. Lin Feng sneered. So what if you're from the Three-Headed Cobra Clan? Are your lives more precious than others? If you can kill the innocent, I can naturally kill your people as well. That's right. You can kill us, but we can't kill you? So what if you're from the Supreme Ancient Era? Do you really think we're afraid of you? Now that they had Lin Feng as their backbone, the dozens of cultivators became bolder and looked at the evil dragon, Huang Fujing, and the others furiously. A bunch of ignorant fools. Since that's the case, I'll kill all of you here today. Huang Fujing sneered. Who's afraid of who? At most, we'll fight to the death. The group of cultivators sneered. Lin Feng laughed loudly and said arrogantly, I alone am enough to deal with the cultivators from the Three-Headed Cobra Clan and the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. Young master, you want to deal with them alone? The dozens of cultivators stared at Lin Feng with their mouths agape. The other party had the evil dragon and Huang Fujing, 2 paragon geniuses, as well as a group of powerful guards. Lin Feng actually dared to say that he could deal with so many of them alone? Wasn't he being too arrogant? Lin Feng nodded and said, To me, it's just a small matter. Brat, you're too arrogant. Brat, who do you think you are? You actually dare to be so arrogant in front of us? The cultivators from the Three-Headed Cobra Clan and the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty roared furiously. They had always been the arrogant ones in front of others. Now, someone actually dared to be so arrogant in front of them. The cultivators from the 2 factions were naturally infuriated. Tear this brat into 1,000 pieces. The evil dragon and Huang Fujing's voices were filled with cold killing intent. Yes. Immediately, 40 to 50 cultivators from the Three-Headed Cobra Clan and the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty charged towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he used the divine ability, Sky Splitter. A 1,000-meter-long saber light condensed and instantly tore through the void. Then, It slashed towards the cultivators from the Yuhua immortal dynasty and the three-headed cobra clan. Pooh! The sound of flesh being torn apart rang out one after another. One by one, the cultivators from the Yuhua immortal dynasty and the three-headed cobra clan were cut in half at the waist. Blinking, 40 to 50 cultivators from the Yuhua immortal dynasty and the three-headed cobra clan were killed by Lin Feng. Heavens! He killed 40 to 50 cultivators in one move? Amongst those people, there were quite a number of powerful beings who were at the level of ancient behemoths. To think that all of them would be killed in a single move. Just who in the world is this young master? How can he be so terrifying? The cultivators looked at Lin Feng in shock. Everyone's face was filled with shock. Who are you? The evil dragon and Huang Fujing looked at Lin Feng with gloomy expressions. At this moment, it was as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Lin Feng placed his hands behind his back and looked at the evil dragon and Huang Fujing indifferently. He sneered and said, "With your status, you don't have the right to know my name. Kneel on the ground and cripple your own dantian. Then, I'll spare your worthless lives. Otherwise, only death awaits you." The cultivators behind Lin Feng felt their blood boil when they heard Lin Feng's powerful words. Those were two supreme being prodigies. Their strength was comparable to some of the older generation powerhouses in the rebirth realm. Now, Lin Feng actually made two supreme being prodigies kneel on the ground and beg for mercy by crippling their own dantians. This was too domineering. Chapter 1305. Acting pretentiously without strength or relying on one's family background was called arrogance. Acting pretentiously with strength was called domineering. Lin Feng glanced at the two paragon geniuses. Now, no one would think that Lin Feng was being arrogant. It was domineering. Lin Feng was too strong. How many people could kill 40 to 50 experts in one move? However, Lin Feng had done it. His battle prowess was too terrifying. Lin Feng's domineering aura seemed to emanate from his bones. Every single one of them was convinced. On the other hand, Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing's expressions were ugly. Lin Feng's disdain for them had infuriated them. Not long ago, they had viewed Lin Feng as an ant. Now, they were being suppressed by Lin Feng. Don't think too highly of yourself. Do you think you can defeat the two of us? Xie Yaolong's eyes flickered with a cold light. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Trash like the two of you aren't even qualified to be my opponents. I can suppress the two of you with a flick of my finger." Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing couldn't help but sneer when they heard Lin Feng's words, even though they could feel the pressure from Lin Feng's body. However, that didn't mean that they were afraid of Lin Feng. Both of them were paragon geniuses who had experienced countless life-or-death battles to obtain their current achievements and statuses. Among the many battles he had experienced, there were also many times where the weak had defeated the strong. Moreover, the two of them were now working together. Lin Feng was only one person. Swish! Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing's bodies flickered as they surrounded Lin Feng from both sides. They obviously wanted to attack Lin Feng from both sides. Although that young master is powerful, Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing are both paragon geniuses. They're exceptionally strong. Now that they've joined forces, I don't know if that young master can defeat them. Should we help? A cultivator asked worriedly. That young master is so domineering. He doesn't put the evil dragon and Huang Fujing in his eyes at all. That prince definitely isn't an arrogant person, so I think he'll definitely be able to defeat the evil dragon and Huang Fujing. We don't need to worry, another cultivator said. Attack. At that moment, the evil dragon and Huang Fujing shouted at the same time. Then, they jumped up and threw themselves at Lin Feng. Xie Yaolong and Xie Yaolong used Xie Yaolong. Huang Fujing used the white feather flying immortal technique. These were all unparalleled ultimate skills. Now that they were being executed, they created an earth-shattering commotion. Thunder rumbled in the void as a terrifying destructive energy swept through the entire world. It was as though it could destroy the firmament and cause the entire world to sink into oblivion. Let's see how you can break our divine abilities. Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing's Yaolong and was long. Xie Yaolong and Yaolong was long Xie Xie and long long long. Long and Yaolong sat that moment. Lin Feng attacked as well. He attacked with his palm, enveloping the two of them. A strong wind blew. Clouds flew. Heaven-covering palm. Lin Feng's heaven-covering palm was a secret technique recorded in the archaic dragonesque elephant spell. It was so powerful that even ghosts and gods would cry. Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing's attack collided with Xie Yaolong's and Huang Fujing's divine abilities. Then, they were sent flying. Wah! Wah! Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing spat out mouthfuls of blood. You're too weak. You're like ants. I overestimated you too. With your cultivation levels, I can kill you with one hand. Lin Feng took a step forwards. He looked indescribably domineering and aggressive. All the cultivators who were watching the battle were astonished. Those were two supreme geniuses. Lin Feng couldn't even withstand a single attack from them. Everyone was trying to guess how strong Lin Feng was. How could he be so terrifying? Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing, who had spat out blood after being hit by Lin Feng, turned pale with fright. They hadn't thought that Lin Feng would be so strong. They looked at each other and didn't hold back anymore. Bloodline. Ancestral awakening. Xie Yaolong roared. Xie Yaolong's bloodline was 100% pure. Once he activated his bloodline, he would be able to ancestral awakening. Heavens! Look, Xie Yaolong is ancestral awakening. Suddenly, someone pointed at Xie Yaolong. Everyone saw that the evil dragon, which had activated 100% of its pure-blooded bloodline, had turned into a giant three-headed cobra that was 1,000 meters long. Xie Yaolong's chi rose crazily after ancestral awakening. After ancestral awakening, Xie Yaolong's strength had increased tremendously. At the same time, Huang Fujing had activated his bloodline. Even though Huang Fujing wasn't a pure bloodline, his bloodline had awakened more than 90%. Therefore, Huang Fujing's bloodline was extremely terrifying. Huang Fujing's bloodline had an extremely terrifying ability. It was called the Quagmire of the Gods. It was said that the Quagmire of the Gods could trap gods and make them unable to escape. Die! Xie Yaolong and Huang Fujing shouted coldly. One of them had ancestral awakening, while the other had activated his special bloodline. Their confidence had increased tremendously. Quagmire of the Gods. Huang Fujing attacked first. After he used the Quagmire of the Gods, godly lights intertwined and a huge quagmire appeared in the sky. Lin Feng was trapped in the quagmire. Lin Feng wanted to leave the quagmire, but he suddenly realized that his feet were stuck in the quagmire and he couldn't get out. Said Huang Fujing coldly, "There's no need to struggle. If you fall into my god's quagmire, you won't be able to move. It'll be impossible for you to get out of it. Die, little brat." After Huang Fujing used the quagmire of the gods to trap Lin Feng, Xie Yaolong and Xie Yaolong started to attack. Xie Yaolong, who had ancestral awakening, rushed towards Lin Feng. He opened his bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lin Feng. "You think a mere quagmire of the gods can trap me? Today, I'll show you the difference between us. It's like a firefly trying to compete with the moon." Lin Feng sneered. A moment later, his body exuded a terrifying, devouring power. The quagmire of the gods that trapped Lin Feng was instantly devoured by Lin Feng. "Impossible! How did you manage to devour the God Legion quagmire created by my bloodline?" Huang Fujing roared in disbelief. "Ha ha ha ha. In your eyes, it might be a trump card, but in my eyes, it's just a small trick. Different people have different perspectives, so they look at things differently," said Lin Feng while laughing loudly. He raised his right hand and released sword chi which pierced through the sky. 1,000-meter-long sword light condensed and slashed towards Xie Yaolong's serpent. Xie Yaolong was shocked when it sensed how terrifying Lin Feng's attack was. Its three heads spat out lightning and wind to block Lin Feng's sword chi, but they couldn't stop it. Pooh! The 1,000-meter-long sword light slashed down. Xie Yaolong's serpent's three heads were chopped off. Huang Fujing was scared out of his wits. He turned around and tried to escape. "You can't escape. Let's go together. We won't be lonely on the road to hell." Lin Feng stretched out his right hand and used the immemorial star-plucking hand. A huge energy palm condensed in the void and grabbed the fleeing Huang Fujing. The huge palm exerted force. Huang Fujing screamed in pain. In a flash, Lin Feng crushed him to death. Chapter 1306. Everyone was deeply shocked in their hearts. Those were two supreme geniuses, and they could even fight against some rebirth realm cultivators. But now, Lin Feng had killed them just like that. It was as if two ants had been crushed to death. When they carefully sensed Lin Feng's life force, they realized that Lin Feng was much younger than Huang Fujing and the evil dragon. This caused everyone to be even more shocked and moved. He was so young, but he was already so strong. What kind of terrifying level would he grow to in the future? Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. After Lin Feng took the storage rings of the evil dragon and Huang Fujing, he looked at the cultivators around him and said, "You guys can leave now. I don't want the three-headed Cobra clan or the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty to find you. Young master, we will never forget your kindness. May I know your name?" A cultivator asked. "Don't worry about it." Lin Feng waved his hand and walked towards the world of flames. This young master is really a god. Many cultivators sighed. They didn't dare to stay any longer. It did not take long for the cultivators to leave as well. The flames of the world of flames couldn't harm Lin Feng. He walked through the sea of flames. Lin Feng's goal was to enter the world of flames and see if there was really the blood essence of the archaic dragonesque elephant. If he used the blood essence of the archaic dragonesque elephant to cultivate the archaic dragonesque elephant technique, he might be able to cultivate it to a higher level. Lin Feng felt that the archaic dragonesque elephant technique had reached a bottleneck, but he couldn't break through it. Now, Lin Feng could see the hope of cultivating the archaic dragonesque elephant technique to a higher level. As he went deeper, the temperature of the world of flames rose. A skeleton. Suddenly, Lin Feng's gaze was attracted by a skeleton in the world of flames. When he saw the skeleton, Lin Feng was shocked. A skeleton that hadn't been destroyed by the flames must have something special about it. He walked over and carefully studied it. The skeleton emitted a scorching energy. Lin Feng couldn't help but think, it seems to be the skeleton of a fire elemental creature. That's why it was able to survive in the world of flames. I originally thought that there were no creatures in the world of flames, but it seems that I was wrong. Lin Feng examined the skeleton and found that it wasn't valuable. He then continued walking deeper into the world of flames. After walking for about 20 li, suddenly, a terrifying aura surged from the distance. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and saw a gigantic fire beast moving towards him. That fire-ferocious beast was 10 meters long and 7 meters tall. It looked like a lion and a unicorn. Its entire body was covered with red scales. It was the first time that Lin Feng had seen such a ferocious beast. Therefore, he didn't know what kind of ferocious beast it was. The beast instantly rushed in front of Lin Feng and waved its huge claws at Lin Feng. Bang! Lin Feng threw a punch at the beast. He and the beast collided fiercely. The fire-ferocious beast attacked Lin Feng and sent him flying away. What a powerful beast! Lin Feng was shocked. He couldn't help but be shocked by the beast's strength. The beast leaped up the moment it sent Lin Feng flying. It once again pounced at Lin Feng. The beast's ability to grasp opportunities was simply amazing. Its sharp claws came again. This time, it grabbed Lin Feng's neck. At the critical moment, Lin Feng's figure flashed and disappeared. The beast's attack fell on empty air. In the next moment, Lin Feng appeared above the beast. He raised his right leg high and then slammed it at the beast. This move was like splitting Mount Hua in half. Bang! The tyrannical blow fiercely hit the beast's body. The beast was hit by Lin Feng's tyrannical blow and fell to the ground. Lin Feng wanted to take advantage of this rare opportunity to kill the fire beast. However, at that moment, a terrifying aura came from the depths of the fiery world. It enveloped Lin Feng, as if warning him. Lin Feng frowned and looked into the depths of the fiery world. The beast turned into a streak of fire and charged into the distance, using this opportunity to escape. Lin Feng didn't chase after the beast. Instead, he stared into the depths of the fiery world. His pupils constricted. In the depths of the fiery world, there was an illusory figure. It was a humanoid flame, and it was looking at him. It was the humanoid flame that had warned him earlier. A humanoid flame. A flame holy spirit? Lin Feng muttered to himself. He was extremely shocked. Holy Spirit was the name of an unknown and terrifying race. Holy spirits were usually born naturally. For example, the stoners could be called holy spirits. As for the humanoid flame in the depths of the fiery world, it could also be called a holy spirit. The greatest characteristic of a holy spirit was that it was so powerful that it made people tremble in fear. It was like the stoners that had been born successfully. They were invincible. The flame Holy Spirit finally retracted its gaze, turned around, and walked into the depths of the fiery world. Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't expect the flame Holy Spirit to leave just like that. However, he couldn't calm down. This fiery world was too extraordinary. It could even give birth to a flame Holy Spirit. There must be some shocking secret hidden here. Lin Feng didn't retreat just because there was a flame Holy Spirit in the fiery world. He felt that there might really be archaic dragonesque elephant's blood essence in the fiery world. It was something that Lin Feng needed. He walked deeper into the fiery world. Finally, he found a huge cave in the depths of the fiery world. Scorching flames spewed out of the cave. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. Where did this cave lead to? Could it lead to the underground? He entered the cave. The cave was very deep. Fortunately, he didn't encounter any danger. Finally, Lin Feng came out of the cave. Just as Lin Feng had guessed, the cave was connected to the underground world. This underground world was a huge world of magma. There was boiling magma everywhere, and on top of the magma, there was a raging fire. Lin Feng flew quickly above the lava world. Suddenly, his eyes widened. There was a huge corpse floating in the lava world. The corpse was 40 to 50 miles long. It had the body of an elephant and the head of a dragon. Dragonesque elephant. It was actually the corpse of a dragonesque elephant. Could it really be the son of the archaic dragonesque elephant sovereign? Lin Feng couldn't calm down. He quickly flew toward the dragonesque elephant corpse. Chapter 1307. Lin Feng hovered in the air, looking at the gigantic Draco elephant's corpse. His heart was filled with shock. The Draco elephant race is mysterious and powerful. Now, one of them has actually died here. Did it really die during the battle with the flame giant demon? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. How should I collect this Draco elephant's corpse? With such a gigantic body, I don't have any other treasures that can collect it apart from the demon orb. But the demon orb is so strange. If I collect the Draco elephant's corpse into the demon orb, there's a 70% to 80% chance that the demon orb will devour it. After thinking for a while, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Right? I'll discuss this with the demon lord and see if we can reach an agreement with the demon lord. With that thought, Lin Feng transmitted his voice to the demon lord. Demon lord, I'll collect the Draco elephant's corpse into the demon orb. Can you stop this strange demon orb from devouring it? The demon lord replied, I can't guarantee that the demon orb won't be under my control. But from what I can see, this Draco elephant you see isn't a real one. Not a real one? That can't be, right? Such a gigantic body is right in front of us. Lin Feng said. The demon lord said, a Draco elephant's body is as big as a planet. This one is only 50 kilometers long. So it's obviously not a real one. Is a Draco elephant's body that big? Lin Feng's heart was filled with shock. The demon lord nodded. That's right. A Draco elephant's body is that big. So I'm guessing that this Draco elephant you see is most likely a Draco elephant's blood essence. However, collecting the Draco elephant's blood essence won't be an easy task. Lin Feng said, let me try and see if I can turn this Draco elephant into Draco elephant's blood essence again. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng unleashed his powerful magic power and began to refine the dragon elephant's body. But what disappointed Lin Feng was that this dragon elephant did not move at all and did not have any reaction. Obviously, it was not realistic to want to refine this dragon elephant. Lin Feng did not give up. He began to circulate the Archean Dragonesque Elephant skill, and the powerful Archean Dragonesque Elephant force surged out. All the power of the Archean Dragonesque Elephant surged towards the gigantic Dragonesque Elephant. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. When the primordial dragonesque elephant's power entered the dragonesque elephant's corpse, the dragonesque elephant's corpse quickly shrank. It really works. Lin Feng was overjoyed. He pushed the primordial dragonesque elephant skill to the extreme, and the primordial dragonesque elephant force was produced continuously. Then, the power of the Archean dragonesque elephant surged into the dragonesque elephant's corpse. The dragon elephant's carcass was originally over 50 miles long, but it soon shrunk to 10 miles long, and it was still shrinking. 3 days later, the dragonesque elephant's carcass, which was originally over 50 miles long, was finally refined into a drop of essence blood by Lin Feng. Lin Feng used his dermic powers to seal this drop of essence blood. Haha, this is great. With this drop of essence blood, my Archean dragonesque elephant skill can evolve again. Lin Feng's face was full of joy. He was about to leave. Suddenly, in the depths of the magma world, a huge tentacle stretched out and wrapped towards Lin Feng. A huge ferocious beast emerged from the magma. That beast was an unknown existence. Its whole body was like a big ball of meat. Its whole body was fiery red, and its body was covered with dense tentacles. It was a bit like the legendary beast Chaos. But the beast Chaos did not have tentacles. That beast had been dormant before, without any movement, waiting for Lin Feng to refine the dragonesque elephant's carcass into dragonesque elephant blood. Now that it saw Lin Feng successfully refining the dragonesque elephant's carcass into dragonesque elephant blood, it did not hesitate to attack Lin Feng. You're courting death. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He took out the revered sword grave. 3 swords flew out. He directly slashed towards the dense mass of tentacles. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Sounds of tearing could be heard. One after another, the tentacles were cut off. Screech. The ferocious beast let out a miserable cry of incomparable pain. That ferocious beast looked at Lin Feng with its evil eyes, but it didn't dare stay any longer. It was afraid that Lin Feng would kill it. The ferocious beast immediately disappeared into the depths of the lava world. You ran fast, Lin Feng sneered. He waved his right hand, and the 3 swords flew back into the revered sword grave. Then, Lin Feng put away the revered sword grave. Then, he left the underground world and went to the outside world. As soon as Lin Feng came out, he sensed a cold aura. He looked to the left and saw the Fire Holy Spirit standing not far away, looking at him. Lin Feng also looked at the Fire Holy Spirit. Lin Feng had dared to come here because he had 2 types of heavenly fire. Lin Feng had dared to come here because he had 2 types of heavenly fire. His heavenly fire could suppress all fire elemental techniques and even living creatures. If it weren't for his heavenly fire, Lin Feng would not have dared to come here. Lin Feng guessed that the Fire Holy Spirit probably wanted to kill him and steal his heavenly fire, but it probably had a lot of things to fear, so it did not attack. Lin Feng quickly flew away. The Fire Holy Spirit followed him. When Lin Feng left the fire world, the Fire Holy Spirit went back to him. The Demon Lord said, "The Fire Holy Spirit hasn't been born for a long time, so its strength hasn't really increased. If it had, you would have died a long time ago," said Lin Feng. "Back then, when I was about to kill the fire beast, the Fire Holy Spirit didn't attack me. Instead, it warned me. Back then, I knew that it was afraid. It was afraid of the celestial fire. That's why I dared come in," said Lin Feng. The Demon Lord remained silent. He even admired Lin Feng a little. Many times, even in the most dangerous situations, Lin Feng was still able to remain calm and collected. His ability to make decisions was incredible. Such calmness and sharp judgment made Yao Jun extremely envious at times. Lin Feng found a place to hide. He couldn't wait to refine the dracophant blood. The archaic dragonesque elephant formula was divided into 3 levels. The first level, the Holy Emperor's Bow. The archaic dragonesque elephant appeared. The second level, Holy Blessing. At this level, Lin Feng could summon the power of the archaic dragonesque elephant that was scattered between heaven and earth after its death. At that time, his fighting strength would increase crazily. The third level, Dragonesque Elephant Transformation. At this level, Lin Feng could transform into an archaic dragonesque elephant and suppress the gods. And now, Lin Feng hoped to use the Dracophant blood to break through to the second level of the archaic dragonesque elephant formula. That was the level of holy blessing. If the archaic dragonesque elephant formula could break through to the second level, then the true power of the archaic dragonesque elephant formula would be revealed. This was because the Archean dragonesque elephant art wasn't just a divine ability, it was also Lin Feng's foundational cultivation technique. The improvement of Lin Feng's physical body and dermic powers were closely related to the Archean dragonesque elephant art. As Lin Feng's Archean dragonesque elephant skill broke through to the second stage, Lin Feng's physical body would become even stronger in the future. Previously, he had tempered his body with the immemorial dragonesque elephant skill. His body was comparable to an empty god. Now that Lin Feng had broken through to the second stage of the Archean dragonesque elephant art, Lin Feng's physical body could continue to improve after a period of tempering. In the future, it was extremely possible for Lin Feng's physical body to reach the heavenly god level. Moreover, as the archaic dragonesque elephant art continued to improve, Lin Feng's physical strength would also continue to break through, reaching the giant god realm. Then, he would reach the great emperor level. All of these were possible, not to mention the giant god level and the great emperor level. Just the physical body reaching the heavenly god level. At that time, he would be able to kill ordinary gods with just his physical body. The Archean dragonesque elephant art is most suitable for the dragonesque elephant race to cultivate. It's very difficult for other races to cultivate it to the second stage. It's already extremely difficult for you to achieve this. The Demon Lord said. Lin Feng said, I'm only at the entry level of the second stage. There are still 4 levels after that. Small success, large success, perfection, and great perfection. Moreover, there's still the third stage. Although the breakthrough made me happy, the road ahead will be even more difficult. Lin Feng took a deep breath. After a short period of excitement, he had already adjusted his emotions and calmed himself down. The Demon Lord said, Don't be arrogant or impatient. Although it will be difficult to break through in the future, as long as you work hard, you will definitely have unexpected gains. Lin Feng nodded. He agreed with the Demon Lord's point of view. Lin Feng did not continue to stay in seclusion. He left the place and continued to go deeper. That night, in the depths of the land of sealed demons, the 9-demon painting appeared again. The demonic power was vast and mighty, attracting the attention of countless people. Countless people were eyeing the 9-demon painting covetously. Lin Feng naturally wanted to obtain this supreme treasure. It was an imperial weapon, although it was only a part of the 9-demon painting. However, the 9-demon painting, which was divided into 9 parts, was comparable to an ordinary imperial weapon. If he had the chance to obtain the 9-demon painting, it would naturally be good. If he did not, Lin Feng would not force himself to obtain it. Not long after, the 9-demon painting disappeared again. It should be hiding in the deepest part of the land of sealed demons. Another 3 days passed. Lin Feng arrived in front of a cliff. In front of the cliff, there was a dense crowd of cultivators. The sky above the cliff was a forbidden space. He could only go through the bridge. There were more than 10 bridges on the cliff. Black fog lingered around them, covering the bridges. Now that the restriction had not disappeared, everyone was waiting. Brat, you dare come here again? Said an ice-cold voice in the distance. A strong cultivator was walking towards Lin Feng. He was looking at Lin Feng with killing intent in his eyes. Isn't that Qin Huizhi from the Giant Sword Sect? Some people looked at the cultivator in surprise. He seems to be targeting a young cultivator. Who is that young cultivator? Some people looked at Lin Feng suspiciously. They did not know Lin Feng. It's him. He's the young cultivator who stole Li's essence back then. Someone cried out in surprise. Many people were shaken. Back then, a young cultivator had stolen Li's essence right under the noses of more than 20 Rebirth Realm cultivators. That incident had caused a huge uproar. No one had thought that the young cultivator would be the person in front of them. That guy stole Li's essence, but he didn't leave. He actually came here. Isn't he courting death? Yeah, I don't know what that brat is thinking. Many cultivators looked at Lin Feng and shook their heads. They felt that Lin Feng was walking right into a trap. It's you. Lin Feng looked at Qin Huizhi indifferently. He had some impression of this person. He was one of the 20 Rebirth Realm cultivators. Brat, do you know that you've committed a capital offense? Qin Huizhi's eyes flashed with killing intent. Capital offense? Lin Feng sneered. Everyone can fight for the opportunities of heaven and earth, but I stole Li's essence. That's because you're not strong enough. You still have the face to say that? You shameless brat. While we were fighting, you snuck over and stole Li's essence. Now you dare say that you stole it? You really know how to stick gold on your face. Qin Huizhi sneered. Lin Feng clasped his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "It doesn't matter if I stole it or not. I've already refined Li's essence. Now, get the hell away from me and I can still spare your life. If you continue to be so presumptuous, I won't mind squashing you like an ant." Hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone stared at Lin Feng in shock. They were all dumbfounded. Wasn't this brat too arrogant? He actually said that he would kill Qin Huizhi, a Rebirth Realm cultivator. Wasn't he courting death by provoking a Rebirth Realm cultivator like that? Who would dare to seize what they saw? Even if they chased them to the ends of the world, these Rebirth Realm experts would still tear their opponents into pieces. The reason was none other than the fact that these Rebirth Realm experts were too strong. The strong were recklessly breaking the rules. The other cultivators were angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. However, Lin Feng had said what they normally didn't dare to say. The 5 Rebirth Realm experts flew into a rage. Lin Feng had cursed them in front of everyone. How could they not be angry? Brat, you're really courting death. Have you thought about how you're going to die? The 5 Rebirth Realm experts looked at Lin Feng sinisterly, their eyes filled with killing intent. Qin Huizhi said, "Everyone, don't worry. I'll cut this brat into pieces. I'll definitely satisfy you. Leave this brat to me. I have 1,000 ways to make him wish he was dead. Once I've tortured him enough, I'll take his life." Haha, I'm not boasting. But there are very few people who are more ruthless than me. What's so good about torturing people? The pain of the physical body is far less than the pain of the soul. I have ways to torture his soul. I have a soul-refining flame here. It's the most destructive to the soul. Everyone, I have a drop of God-corroding liquid here. If you drip it on a god's body, the god's body will rot little by little. Then, the soul will be corroded. That's the most terrifying punishment. You'll die in endless pain and fear. The other 5 Rebirth Realm experts also began to argue. Those reincarnation cultivators all wanted to kill Lin Feng personally to vent their anger. However, none of them could convince the other party. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Don't argue. If you want to die so much, then come at me together." The surrounding cultivators looked at Lin Feng as if he was crazy. Lin Feng's arrogance had completely exceeded their expectations. A young cultivator in his 20s had actually made 6 Rebirth Realm experts attack him together. In their opinion, a normal person shouldn't be so arrogant. Even the top supreme geniuses wouldn't dare to be so arrogant in front of 6 Rebirth Realm experts. However, Lin Feng had done so. Many people even wondered if Lin Feng had suffered a huge blow and didn't want to live anymore. Was he trying to die a spectacular death by provoking the 6 Rebirth Realm experts? The more they thought about it, the more they felt that it was possible. "Kid, do you know what you're saying?" The 6 Rebirth Realm experts roared furiously. If looks could kill, Lin Feng would have been killed 1,000,000 times over. Although the 6 Rebirth Realm experts couldn't wait to kill Lin Feng, they didn't attack. Because if the 6 Rebirth Realm experts attacked Lin Feng together, they would be humiliated. That would be a complete loss of face. They would become laughingstocks in the future. "Everyone, there's a first-come, first-serve rule. Leave this kid to me. I'll make sure you're satisfied." Qin Huizhi gnashed his teeth. "All right, we'll leave him to you, Brother Qin." The other 5 Rebirth Realm experts nodded. They just wanted to see Lin Feng die a horrible death. They didn't care who killed Lin Feng. Qin Huizhi nodded and walked towards Lin Feng step by step. He had a ferocious smile on his face. "Kid, are you ready to die?" Lin Feng asked indifferently. "I vaguely heard people talking about you. They said you're from the Giant Sword sect." Qin Huizhi was startled. He didn't understand why Lin Feng would ask him if he was from the Giant Sword Sect. He smiled coldly. I'm a supreme elder of the Giant Sword Sect. Lin Feng's expression darkened. The Giant Sword Sect was one of the 12 factions that had attacked the Fire Qilin and almost killed it. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't have a good impression of the Giant Sword Sect. All right, Supreme Elder of the Giant Sword Sect, I'll take your head today. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Kid, how dare you? Qin Huiji's killing intent surged as he rushed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was even faster. He used the 8 directional worlds and arrived in front of Qin Huiji. He used the ancient star-seizing hand. He moved as fast as lightning and grabbed Qin Huiji's head. A moment later, Pucci, blood splattered everywhere. Qin Huiji's head was taken by Lin Feng, and his headless corpse fell to the ground. The forest, which was originally filled with noise, instantly became silent. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.